Chapter 371. Halfway through the reunion banquet, the eldest uncle of the Su family finally arrived. Though he and Papa Su had always been at odds like fire and water, he would still care about the Su family's reputation on the surface and maintain his brotherly bond with Papa Su. That must be my nephew. What a talent. The eldest uncle of the Su family was on the tall side and a little plump, which was why he appeared more burly than Papa Su. His hands were naturally strong too, and it hurt when they landed on Jingyun's body. Big brother, you've come all the way here to congratulate me. I thank you as your younger brother. Papa Su quickly greeted him. What are you talking about? Everyone knows that for this child, sister-in-law has been crying all day long. Now that the child is back as the big brother, I can rest assured. Jingyun did not entertain them, and instead turned his eyes to Su Yihong and his eldest uncle. This father and son pair's wishful thinking was truly resounding. Don't mind your eldest uncle. Just be polite. Mama Su whispered into Jingyun's ear. Mother, can you help me announce my marriage to Minglan? Jingyun did not care about his eldest uncle and father since he would deal with them sooner or later. Right now, all he wanted was to give Minglan a title. Mama Su smiled at that. Got it? Hence, Mama Su went to the podium and announced Jingyun and Minglan's marriage in front of everyone. Naturally, old Xing was happy to see it. Even if Xing Xiao was not around at Huangyao, he still had Jingyun to comfort him a little. Congratulations to you and Jingyun, fourth sister, Mu Qiqi quickly said. Mu Qiqi quickly congratulated him. You don't know how worried Xiao Xiao and I were when this blockhead didn't understand. I think you're the only one who's worried. Eighth brother never asks about such things. Xing Minglan raised a brow. He only has you in his heart. Whatever the case, you're very happy to be with the person you love, fourth sister. Xing Minglan nodded and turned to Jingyun. Their gazes locked, leaving the others envious. Meanwhile, the employees of Su Holdings were not just shocked. Their backs were breaking out in cold sweat as well. Because the person they were told to mess with was actually the third young master of the Su family. No wonder he didn't look like a normal office worker from the way he talked and dressed. He was actually the young master of Su Holdings. The incident soon spread in the company's group chat, and those who had made fun of Jingyun before were now on tenterhooks. If I had known that you were the young master of the Su clan, I wouldn't have dared to offend you even if I had to die. This third young master is way too low profile. If he had revealed his identity earlier, there wouldn't have been so many misunderstandings. Looks like this third young master is patrolling incognito. Who told you guys to bully the weak and suck up to the strong? Now you've run into a tough one. In fact, Jingyun wouldn't bother with them since he had already taught them a good lesson. As long as it didn't happen again in the future, he couldn't be bothered. After lunch, the guests entered the dance floor to entertain themselves while Su Yihong chatted with his real father in the garden. Eldest uncle, I've been with the Su family for so many years, but in the end they look more like a family. Eldest uncle Su snorted. You've been working hard for the Su family over the years, never slacking. And yet, that beggar came back and stole all your limelight. Well, I don't really care. Su Yihong muttered. Still, that younger brother of mine isn't easy to deal with. If we don't act soon, it'll be too late when he remembers. What do you plan to do? I'll bring third brother to the factory in 2 days. It'll be up to you when the time comes. The Su family had so many machines and many of them were very dangerous. It wasn't like they couldn't deal with Jingyun if they tampered with the machines. If anything happened, it would have nothing to do with them and Jingyun could only blame his bad luck. Don't worry, it's just a small matter. Eldest Uncle Su replied. If your wings weren't full, I would have snapped my brother's slender neck. There's no hurry. Right now, Xing Xiao was standing on high ground watching as Su Yihong and the eldest uncle of the Su family stood together. His lips curled into a smile. Tell Jingyun to be careful over the next few days. Su Yihong has a plan. I must say that bloodline is such a wonderful thing. Those two really look alike. Mu Qiqi couldn't help being moved. If you think it's amazing, you should give birth to one and see how it works. I'm only 19. Mu Qiqi emphasized her age. 20 is enough. Mu Qiqi punched him in the chest, but Xing Xiao caught her little fist. Your grandfather is looking forward to us having a child soon. We're not even engaged, let alone married. Why would I give birth to your child? Qi, you've changed. You didn't treat me like this before. Mu Qiqi chuckled and stopped teasing him. When will the news of Zhongting's establishment be announced? When the time is right. Xing Xiao said mysteriously. Now that he had resigned from Huangyao, everyone in Jianchuan would probably look at him in a different light. After all, he had nothing now and he couldn't be content with watching the show so quickly. He had to let old Xing think that he had a few more days. In the distance, Jing Yun had noticed Su Yihong and the eldest uncle of the Su family sitting together from where he was beside his parents, and simply told Mama Su, "Eldest brother and eldest uncle are getting along. Your big brother can chat with any kind of person." It seemed that his mother trusted Su Yihong 100%, and Su Yihong's painstaking efforts over the years in the Su family were not in vain. "What are you talking about? You're so happy." Su Yihong rose from his chair when he saw Jing Yun nearby and walked up to mother and son. "I'm saying that you're making good connections." Mama Su replied. "Mother, I want to bring third brother to our factory in 2 days. What do you think?" Ultimately, the Su family was a corporation that developed and manufactured medical equipment, and Jing Yun must have control over the production line. "That's fine. You'll be in charge of it." "Thank you, brother," Jing Yun said very politely. "We're all brothers and the Su family would be yours sooner or later. That's why you don't have to be so courteous with me." What did Xing Xiao just say? Su Yihong couldn't hold back. After all, the longer Jing Yun stayed with the Su family, the deeper his bond with the Su couple. Chapter 372. Having followed Xing Xiao for years, Jing Yun could naturally tell from Su Yihong's words that he was scheming. What production line? It was nothing more than an excuse to cripple his body. Otherwise, Jing Yun could not imagine what Su Yihong could do to him in such a place. If that was the case and Su Yihong was harboring evil intentions, he would definitely not hold back, and settle the score with Su Yihong once and for all. As for where Su Yihong would set the trap, he would have to improvise when the time comes. The reunion banquet was lively, and naturally went smoothly. Since old Xing had become in-laws with the Su family, he naturally planned to return home after the banquet. There was no lack of guests who praised Xing Xiao in front of him, but he retorted with one line, "It's a pity that the kid is mischievous and insists on going out to make a name for himself. He doesn't even want to be the CEO of Huang Yao, and as his elder, wouldn't I be letting him down if I don't fulfill his wish?" In other words, old Xing was implying that Xing Xiao had nothing to do with Huang Yao. He's still a kid who wouldn't make mistakes. That's true. Still, he has left the Sheng family. You don't have to hold back if you see him in the future. Teach him a lesson for me. Did that mean that the Sheng family was really not acknowledging the crown prince? I'll do as you say, old Sheng. Xing Xiao had always been able to do whatever he wanted in Jianchuan, and no one had ever dared to touch him. Now that he was really leaving Huang Yao, did that mean that the heir of Huang Yao would be changed? It seemed that old Xing was sad about his grandson. Instead of a great empire, he insisted on a woman. The old man probably thought that his grandson was a good-for-nothing, which was why he did not intend to keep supporting him. And it would be terrible if news of that got out. As the saying goes, the river flows east for 30 years, then west for 30 years. Was the crown prince going to be a nobody trampled by everyone? That night, it was not just the Su family's manor that was bustling. Something was happening at the Lu family as well. Lin Mu, and was really acting as Lu Chanshan's bodyguard at the moment, staying by her side no matter what she did. It was a great humiliation for old Lin. The grandson of the Lin family actually went to work for a second-hand good. He really had no sense of shame. Thinking of this, the old man really couldn't take it anymore. He had to think of a way to teach this unfilial son a lesson and scare that broken shoe. Meanwhile, Lu Chanshan had just finished her class and was walking out of her tutor's private classroom with Lin Muan. But just as they were about to drive away, a black car crashed into them. Lin Mu and protected Lu Chanshan. After confirming that the accident was not serious, he unbuckled his seatbelt and got out of the car. He wanted to reason with the other party. Unexpectedly, 4 burly men came down and grabbed Lin Muan. Then they said fiercely, "Are you tired of living? How dare you block our path?" Lin Mu and turned to Lu Chanshan and said, "Call the police." However, the other party did not give Lin Mu a chance to react at all. Their fists directly smashed over. It was not one person but 4 people. Lu Chanshan was frightened by the scene in front of her. She quickly called the police but was threatened by the other party. "If you dare to call the police, I will kill him." Lu Chanshan quickly comforted them. "What do you want? Do I need money? I'll give it to you. Don't hurt him. Do you think we lack that?" In the end, Lin Mu was a police academy student and knew self-defense. But there were 4 of them. If he moved, they would quickly and viciously press him to the ground. Their skills clearly showed that they were not gangsters from the outside. "Then what do you want?" "We know this young master is a young master of the Lin family. But he dumped my sister. So we're using this as a pretext to beat him up. What can he do? Even the Lin family doesn't recognize him now." I've never been in love. How could I dump your sister? Lin Mu, and wiped the blood from his nose and smiled. I'm afraid it's that old man from the Lin family who asked you to come. The others were stunned. They did not expect Lin Mu, and to expose them. I can't fight back even if you beat me up today. I can't beat you anyway. But it's the first time I've heard of a grandfather getting someone to beat his grandson up. It's really touching. Us beating you up has nothing to do with the Lin family. The trouble is so obvious. Why do you hide it? He's my grandfather. I won't fight back if he really beats me up. The others could not keep up the perfunctory act. They let go of Lin Muan's collar. Cut the crap. I'll beat you up again the next time I see you. With that they got up and left. It was only then that Lu Chanshan came forward, crying. She wanted to help Lin Muan up, but he pushed her away. There's blood. It's dirty. What's dirty? I don't mind. Lu Chanshan helped him up and put him in the car. Are you okay? Do we need to go to the hospital? I'm not good enough as a bodyguard. I can't protect you at all when you're in danger. Lin Muan's face was swollen. He clutched his chest and panted with difficulty. Are you sure it's your grandfather who got someone to do it? He just wants to teach me a lesson, Lin Muan replied. He's a little agitated when he sees us together. I understand. How can there be such a grandfather? Lu Chanshan really could not understand. He just wants to scare you so that you don't have anything to do with me. Lin Muan wiped away the blood on his face helplessly. You have to drive the car. Even if he wants to scare me, he shouldn't really hit you. Lu Chanshan really could not understand how a grandfather could be so cruel to his own grandson. He's at his wit's end. Lin Muan's gaze darkened. He hoped that he did not further agitate his grandfather. This is just the beginning. He will definitely think of a way to make me beg him so that I will willingly return to the Lin family. As long as you want to find a place to hide, my house will always be open for you. Aren't you afraid of my grandfather's revenge? Lin Muan narrowed his eyes and asked Lu Chanshan. The Lu family is not glass. It will shatter with one touch. Moreover, you are all alone now. If you lose me, you can go begging on the streets. With that, Lu Chanshan pressed a tissue on Lin Muan's nose. Wipe it. I'll send you to the hospital for a checkup. There's really no need. Listen to you or listen to me? Lu Chanshan crossed her arms and asked Lin Muan dangerously. I think your grandfather must be a pervert in his past life. How could he do such a thing? Let him vent his anger. He's old. Lin Muan was very open-minded. Chapter 373. But that doesn't stop me from being your bodyguard. Lu Chanshan pressed on his wound and Lin Muan inhaled sharply. You're about to fall apart and you're still boasting shamelessly. Lu Chanshan glared at him and drove the damaged car to the hospital. After a checkup, the doctor insisted that Lin Muan be hospitalized. Young man, don't fight just because you have a good recovery. His grandfather did it. Lu Chanshan told the doctor angrily. It's the first time you've seen a grandfather like that, isn't it? Beside them Lin Muan laughed, clutching his chest. Even if he was beaten up by old Lin, he had a happy little pepper with him. Watching her scold someone was the best medicine for him. You're still laughing? You've broken a bone. Lu Chanshan was fuming. Your grandfather could really do it. You must have been picked up from the streets. Lin Muan really did not want to listen to Lu Chanshan's nagging. Hence, he hugged her in his arms and comforted her in front of the doctor. Whether my grandfather did it or not, little Pepper, you have to believe me. I'll protect you even if I have to risk my life. Who needs your protection? Lu Chanshan pushed Lin Muan away forcefully, only to touch his wound. Lin Muan quickly shrunk into a ball, sweating. Lu Chanshan did not think of anything else. As a good friend, she certainly would not leave Lin Muan alone. Even so, she did not know how serious Lin Muan was with his vow today. At the Sheng residence, old Sheng had the Sheng family cut all ties with Huang Yao because he did not want Xing Xiao to have him in his hands this time. Even so, he had to answer to the Gu family after Xing Xiao left Huang Yao. They had agreed to settle things with Mu Qiqi. But this time the old man did not only settle things with Mu Qiqi, but also Xing Xiao. Xing Xiao promptly announced that he was leaving Huang Yao. On the next day, old Xing invited the Gu family to his house, and Mama Gu stayed in the old man's study for 2 whole hours. Old Mr. Xing, the Gu family is aware of what happened to your family. Why don't we just forget about the Crown Prince and Xiling? I think the Crown Prince really likes the young lady of the Shin family. Hearing this, Grandpa Gu waved his hand and said to the Gu family, Madam Gu, please don't worry. Everything will go according to plan. I know my grandson. He's just trying to threaten me now. When he knows that threats don't work, he'll listen to me. But, Mrs. Gu, what do you think of this? You saw my second grandson when you came in just now. He's not married yet. We'll stick to the original plan and let Miss Gu marry into the Sheng family. She can choose whichever she likes. What do you think? Madame Gu recalled how second brother Sheng walked past her just now. He was indeed a handsome man. So she nodded. If that's the case, I'll agree to it. After all, the Gu family was aware that the second young master of the Sheng family held great power in Huangyao. They could accept either the crown prince or the second young master. Then we have a deal. After the Gu family left, sixth brother asked the old man, Grandpa, what's going on? It has nothing to do with you. Just mind your own business. Grandpa Sheng told sixth brother. Everything was ready. There was just no telling when that unfilial son of his would stop being willful. Sixth brother hung his head and turned to leave, but the old man suddenly called out to him. Wait, Grandpa. Seal eighth brother's room as well. And spread the word that eighth brother is never coming back to the Sheng family now that he's out. Are you serious, Grandpa? Sixth brother was puzzled. Since eighth brother's acting is so real, I certainly can't show weakness. The old man snorted coldly. He would act as if he no longer cared for Xing Xiao so that he would know that his threats were useless. Even if the outside world knew that Xing Xiao and Huang Yao were at odds, so what? With the Su family moving to Jianchuan and the Shen family regaining their vigor, a military enterprise began its rise. That night it was raining and snowing. Both Xing Xiao and Shen Jianchuan visited the office of Zhongting Industries, where they would handle official business in the future. Su Che was pushing Shen Jianchuan's wheelchair, while Xing Xiao put his arm around Mu Qiqi's shoulder. I like this place. Mu Qiqi told both Xing Xiao and Shen Jianchuan after walking one round. It's a great view, unlike Huang Yao with diamonds everywhere. It's so uncomfortable. Do you dislike Huang Yao or do you dislike the people there? Sheng Xiao asked, pinching Mu Qiqi's chin. Since you've cut ties with the Sheng family, when are you going to announce your identity? Shen Jianchuan asked. At first, I wanted to teach the old man a lesson and let him know my resolve. But now, I think that it's better to keep my identity a secret so that the outside world would think that I've fallen out with Huang Yao. Then the old man would think that I'm nothing without Huang Yao. That way, I could have more peace in the early days of Zhongting, which is good for my work. Shen Jianchuan nodded at that. You're the lazing son-in-law of the Shen family. You just have to hide in the Shen family. That's what I think too, Xing Xiao replied. But can you take it if the outside world laughs at you for being a coward? Those people. I always have a way to trouble them behind their backs. Xing Xiao was nonchalant. Since that's what you plan to do, just do it. The Shen family could even help you with Huang Yao. Are you going to suffer for a while, Xiao? Isn't that right? You're in for it with a husband who's been chased out of the family. Shen Jianchuan really did not want to see the two flirting, and so had Su Che push him to his office. He really wanted to sit there like a normal person, but he clearly could not do that now. As for Xing Xiao, he was now talking about working with Zhongting. His partners had all changed. As a military enterprise that produced military supplies for the army, the people he would be dealing with now were people with real power and influence, but they were never ostentatious. This was a completely new challenge for him. When he got home, Mu Qiqi found that Xing Xiao had stepped into a new field, and couldn't help climbing onto his lap to read his research materials. Now that you've established a new company with Dad, are you going to lean towards politics in the future? Chapter 374. You're exaggerating. Mu Qiqi exclaimed, holding his hand. Xiao Xiao, I'll be waiting for you to become the new nobleman of Jianchuan. After all, even old Xing would not dare to offend Xiao Xiao so easily. It's easy with Grandpa, second uncle and Dad around. Still, why do I suddenly feel like I'm a phoenix man? A live-in son-in-law. You don't have to be picky. Xing Xiao laughed heartily at Mu Qiqi's words, and carried her horizontally towards the bedroom. What a great business. Mu Qiqi smiled brightly as she wrapped her arms around his neck. Still, when Xing Xiao put her on the bed, his seductive voice reached her ears. I want to have my first child when you're 20. But I'm not that old yet. Registration abroad and notarization at home when the time comes. Do you have to be in such a hurry? Mu Qiqi could not help looking at the man on top of her. Or is the great crown prince afraid that I'll run away? Idiot. Xing Xiao scolded softly before kissing her. Back at the Xing family, second brother was put in a difficult position by the board of directors because Xing Xiao was not around. It was fortunate that he was capable enough to stabilize the internal affairs of Huang Yao despite Xing Zhao's hasty departure, which certainly made the old man see him in a different light. Still, there was one thing that second brother could not compare to Xing Xiao in that they shared the same ambition. Xing Xiao was very proactive when it came to expanding Huang Yao's territory, whereas second brother was much more reclusive. Whatever the case, the old man was very pleased that Huang Yao could maintain its current order. Late at night, second brother was still in the old man's study, reporting on his work over the last 2 days, which left the old man thinking a lot. You've done well, second brother. You haven't disappointed me even though eighth brother has left. I can only do my best, Grandpa. Second brother never imagined that he could shoulder the responsibility of Huang Yao in such a short time. I've already called your third brother to help you. I intend to nurture a new faction so that we wouldn't have to be threatened by eighth brother anymore. The old man certainly had more ideas after witnessing second brother's ability. I'll work harder, Grandpa. If you can really shoulder the responsibility of Huang Yao, then you will be the crown prince of Huang Yao. Grandpa, that's eighth brother's title. Whoever can make Huang Yao stronger will be the future heir of Huang Yao. Maybe I don't need eighth brother that much. Of course, that was what the old man said, but he might not think so in his heart. If second brother did anything wrong, the old man would immediately remember Xing Zhao's good points. The old man was that capricious. Naturally, everyone liked to be praised, and second brother naturally wanted to do better when he was praised by the old man, even surpassing Xing Zhao. In 2 days, an old friend of Grandpa's will be sending her granddaughter over as a guest. When that happens, you have to entertain her for Grandpa. Since your eldest aunt has left the Sheng family, your mother is naturally coming back to manage the family. It was as good as lifting second brother's family up, temporarily stabilizing Huang Yao. Don't worry, grandfather. He did not believe that Xing Xiao would remain indifferent when the Sheng family made such a move. And what waves would Gu Ziling's appearance bring to the Sheng family? On the other hand, Jing Yun's image in the eyes of Su Holdings employees had undergone a complete change after the banquet. Those who would always try to pick a fight with him now dared not act presumptuously in front of him. Who would have thought that he was the young master of the Su family? It was even more unfortunate that he was about to marry the young lady of the Sheng family. Otherwise, every female employee of Su Holdings would be in an uproar. It had been 3 days since Su Yihong suggested bringing Jing Yun to the factory. Jing Yun knew very well that those 3 days were actually the time Su Yihong had planned everything. That night, when Su Yihong returned to the Su residence and found Jing Yun and the others having dinner, he told Jing Yun, "We're going to the factory tomorrow. I've arranged everything and eldest uncle would accompany us." "Then I'll have to trouble you, eldest brother," Jing Yun said without batting an eyelid, because he had been waiting for this moment for days. "We'll leave tomorrow morning." With that, Su Yihong went upstairs to rest while Mama Su told Jing Yun, "Your brother really cares about you. Feng, promise me that you will always respect your brother." "I know, mother." With that, Jing Yun buried his head in his meal, while Mama Su and Xing Minglan discussed where they should buy wedding supplies. It was only when both of them returned to their bedroom that Xing Minglan asked Jing Yun, "Is it safe to go tomorrow? Do you have a plan?" Jing Yun shook his head. "He would be suspicious if I bring someone with me. But there's no telling where he set up the traps. I'm worried if you go alone." Jing Yun hugged Xing Minglan and stroked her back. "Trust me, Minglan. I'm already immune to such things after all these years of following young master. Trust me." Having no other choice, Xing Minglan nodded. "Then be careful. Tell me immediately if anything happens." "Don't worry." Jing Yun kept stroking Xing Minglan's back, trying to calm her down. If Su Yihong dared to make a move, he would make him pay the price he deserved. The next day, the two brothers went downstairs at the same time and sat down in front of the Su couple for breakfast. "Old Su, sometimes I really feel like I'm dreaming. Finding Feng is my greatest fortune. Mother, third brother, and I would stay by your side from now on. It would be even better if my sister could return to the country." "That's right. That girl hasn't even come back to visit her brother." Jing Yun had a second sister, but she was overseas at the moment. Since the Su couple never mentioned her, Jing Yun did not ask about it. Soon, the two brothers left the Su family's main gates and got into the car Su Yihong had prepared. "Ifeng, your big brother has widened your horizons today." If he did not know beforehand that Su Yihong was up to no good, Jing Yun might have believed that his big brother would be so kind as to bring him to see the core of the Su family. "When you're officially married, I'll transfer you to an important department in Su Holdings. I trust your ability, and I'd be much more at ease with you sharing Su Holdings' responsibilities." Jing Yun smiled coolly, showing no openings in front of Su Yihong. All the good show would have to wait and see how it would play out. Chapter 375. Su Yihong gave Jing Yun a simple introduction when they arrived at Su Holdings' production line. Su Holdings dabbles in a wide range of medical fields, most famous for their research and development of high-quality consumables as well as their focus on medical imaging. Our goal is to produce equipment that could replace imported products and benefit the common people. I have a basic understanding of those. As they spoke, they arrived at the gates of the production base, where the eldest uncle of the Su family was waiting for them. You're here. Since eldest uncle is more knowledgeable in the field of equipment, I've asked him to give you a basic explanation. Thank you, eldest uncle. Jing Yun said courteously to the eldest uncle. Both the eldest uncle and Su Yihong looked at each other, both knowing what to do. Then the trio entered the production base. Jing Yun did not know where the traps were, but he had been paying special attention along the way. Under normal circumstances, it would be safe if there were people on the production line, but he would have to be extra careful if there was no one around. These machines are used to create artificial joints. Do you want to take a closer look? Sure. Jing Yun nodded and walked towards the machine with his eldest uncle to see how it worked. Do you want to try how it works? I'll have the workers open one for you to try. Jing Yun nodded. That was when a man wearing sterile clothes entered, intending to bring Jing Yun along to try out the machine. Su Yihong and the Su family's eldest uncle shared a look as they followed behind. Then the power was switched on and the worker told Jing Yun, "Young Master Su, these things are very sharp. You must be careful even if there are protective measures." All right. Jing Yun nodded and strode forward. Just as Jing Yun and the worker were experimenting, eldest Uncle Su suddenly appeared behind Jing Yun and tried to push him. However, Jing Yun had already seen it through the glass of the machine, and so quickly dodged, while eldest Uncle Su's entire body fell towards the open machine after he missed his target. It was fortunate that the worker managed to hold him back, but with a scream, the eldest uncle's big finger was cut off by the gear. Hurry up and call an ambulance. Su Yihong quickly diverted Jing Yun's attention when he saw that his eldest uncle had failed. Feng, what's going on? Before he could say anything, his big brother had already made things difficult for him. Su Feng, is this how you treat me when I'm kind enough to teach you? The eldest uncle of the Su family retorted. Eldest uncle, if you want to teach me, just tell me in advance. I was just shocked by eldest uncle. Uncle's hand is injured. Go back and explain it to mom and dad. He did not follow the ambulance to the hospital immediately. Instead, he looked at the bloodstains and stared at the staff who was wearing sterile clothes. You're covering yourself up so tightly not because it's needed here, but because you don't want me to recognize you, right? The man trembled and stuttered, I don't know anything. I'm only responsible for turning it on. You don't have to know anything, but I'll remember your name. Jing Yun pointed at the man's badge. Young Master Su, this matter really has nothing to do with me. How vicious. If I was really pushed forward, my hands would have been crippled with so many gears. Jing Yun muttered, while the man's face was already drenched in sweat. Jing Yun did not make things difficult for him, but he had to keep an eye on him. Now Jing Yun would have to face his uncle who had lost his finger, and a big fight was inevitable. When they arrived at the hospital, the eldest uncle of the Su family was already stitching up his wound, although his severed finger could not be reattached. Later, Mr. and Mrs. Su rushed to the hospital, and were rather worried when they found Jing Yun outside the surgery room. Are you all right? Are you and your brother all right? I'm fine. It's just that eldest uncle's thumb was cut off. Jing Yun replied. Where's your brother? Taking care of the medical fees. Jing Yun replied. What actually happened? Papa Su asked. It's Yifeng's fault. Eldest uncle wanted to teach him how to use the machine, but he suddenly turned around and eldest uncle lost his balance and fell in front of the machine, getting his thumb cut off by the gears. Eldest brother, you're a medical student after all. Jing Yun suddenly walked up to Su Yihong and turned around. Look, if you were standing behind me and you didn't move, you wouldn't have lunged forward when I turned around. The only explanation for this is, what is it? Your eldest uncle wanted to push Fenger? Mama Su immediately understood what Jing Yun meant. That's right. If your eldest uncle didn't want to push Fenger, why would he have lunged forward? Mom, you didn't see what happened. You wouldn't know. Eldest uncle could have told me earlier if he really wanted to teach me. Why would he suddenly lunge at me without saying anything? What is he trying to do? Yifeng, eldest uncle is the one who's hurt. If I don't move aside and eldest uncle succeeds in pushing me down, then my hands, both my hands, won't I lose them? Papa Su finally understood what Jing Yun meant at that. It wasn't just Papa Su, even Su Yihong understood what Jing Yun meant. Eldest uncle has no grudge against you. Why would he frame you? If you're in the wrong here. It's fine if you admit it, and eldest uncle is magnanimous and wouldn't blame you. No grudge against me? Are you sure, eldest brother? Jing Yun asked Su Yihong meaningfully. Could this be a misunderstanding, Feng? Mama Su was puzzled as well. After all, eldest uncle of the Su family had not done anything to their family after losing the management rights. Moreover, it had been so many years since then, and there was no reason for him to frame Jing Yun. I'll tell you the truth, Mom. I knew something would happen when I went there today. Jing Yun told his parents unhurriedly then. At first, I wanted to give eldest brother a chance. I might not have said anything if he didn't do anything to me, but it's clear that someone wants my hands. What are you saying, Yifeng? Papa Su stared at Jing Yun in shock. That's right, Feng. What are you saying? Why can't you understand, Mom? It's fine if you don't understand. Eldest brother should understand. Jing Yun turned his sharp gaze upon Su Yihong. Su Yihong panicked inwardly but kept his composure. I think you're crazy. I didn't know that you're such a person because we haven't known each other for long. You might know a person for a long time but you don't know his heart. Mom, Dad, I'm your son, so you should discipline him. Feng, what exactly did you mean by those words just now? Your eldest brother? Chapter 376. Yifeng, what exactly is going on here? Explain everything clearly. Mama Su was really confused then. How did Su Yihong get involved in this? What was Jing Yun trying to hide? Su Yifeng, what did I do wrong to you as your brother that you would slander me like this? Su Yihong was unaware of what Jing Yun knew, and all he wanted to do was calm Mama Su. Mom, please help me with this. What are you thinking, Feng? He's your brother in the end. How could you treat him like an enemy? Mama Su was feeling 1,000 discomfort right then. Feng, explain yourself right now. Papa Su had given Jing Yun a death order as well. After all, Jing Yun had only returned to the Su family for a few days, whereas Su Yihong had lived with the Su couple for years. Naturally, they would side with Su Yihong more. It was only human nature, and Jing Yun certainly did not take his parents' attitude to heart. If you want to know the answer, you have to understand one thing first. Brother, whose child is he? It wasn't just Su Yihong who was stunned by Jing Yun's words, even the Su couple were. Feng, are you crazy? I carried him for 10 months and gave birth to him. How could it be fake? Mama Su promptly retorted. Jing Yun stared at Su Yihong just as Su Yihong was staring back at him. Mom, that's not what I mean. You carried brother for 10 months and gave birth to him, but then you're saying that I did it behind your father's back. Mom, when you gave birth to brother, someone else's mistress gave birth in that hospital as well, and the real brother had long since been swapped. Jing Yun explained to Mama Su, before turning to Su Yihong. Am I right, brother? I don't know what you're talking about. Su Yihong naturally would not admit it. The more you talk, the more confused I am. Feng, hurry up and explain. Even a gentle person like Mama Su could not stand Jing Yun's tantalizing words. Su Yifeng, you wouldn't be framing your own brother for the Su family's inheritance, would you? You've been with the Crown Prince of Huangyao for so many years. You should have learned a lot about scheming. However, I didn't expect that the person you're going to deal with is actually me. I told you long ago that I would definitely find out who left me in Jianchuan back then. Mother, father, the eldest son in front of you is actually the child of my eldest uncle and his mistress. My real eldest brother unfortunately died when he was just a few years old after he was swapped. Mama Su took 2 steps back in shock at Jing Yun's words. This is impossible. Ha! Su Yifeng, you're really good at making up stories. Su Yihong found the whole thing laughable. It's easy to imagine how many tricks you've thought of over the last few days to gain power in the Su family. Whether it's true or not, we'll know after a test. Why would I take such a huge risk to slander you? Jing Yun asked in return. You don't have to admit it, but I have evidence that my uncle's mistress gave birth in the hospital. As for your identity, everything will be revealed after a DNA test with my father. I just wanted to dig out the truth about who abandoned me back then, but I accidentally found out about your relationship. Papa Su couldn't help turning to Su Yihong at that. Eldest, is that true? Father, I've been with the Su family for so many years. Don't you trust me? How many days has it been since Su Yifeng returned? Su Yihong quickly played the family card. After learning about that, I made a bold assumption. Why did eldest brother fly to the Su family's private mansion on the island first when father and eldest uncle were fighting over the management rights? I suspected that eldest uncle was the one who took me away, but I would have been used as a bargaining chip to threaten father when you were fighting over the management rights. So why was I abandoned? It bothered me for a long time, and it was only when I found out about eldest brother and eldest uncle's relationship that I finally understood. As long as I'm not in the Su family, eldest brother is the rightful heir. And since he's the heir, doesn't that mean that eldest uncle succeeded in seizing power? That's why eldest brother personally took me to Jianchuan and abandoned me, while eldest uncle never bothered the Su family after so many years, and instead supported them diligently. Moreover, eldest brother, you're unmarried. Why are you still unmarried even though you're over 40? The reason is simple. Your blood type doesn't match your parents, and if you marry and have children, your blood type would easily be exposed. That's why you have to be careful. Do you understand the answer now? Su Yihong couldn't help clapping for Jing Yun at that. I really couldn't tell that you're not just brilliant in your methods, but also outstanding in your storytelling. You've said so much, but where's the evidence? Then tell me first, are you and eldest uncle really father and son? Jing Yun retorted, not to be outdone. Of course I'm father and mother's child. So confident? Jing Yun couldn't help chuckling. You might not know this, eldest brother, but I did a DNA test with you when you weren't paying attention, and it showed that we're cousins. Who would know if it's real or not? Su Yihong refused to admit it. It doesn't matter. You can do it as many times as you want. Jing Yun said. I just want to tell you that you shouldn't think about getting out of this unscathed after setting me up. Just wait and see. With that, Su Yihong continued to stand by the door of the surgery room, waiting for eldest uncle's surgery to be over. Meanwhile, Su Yihong's parents were in a complete mess. They simply didn't know who to believe, and could only stand awkwardly by the door of the surgery room. Unable to hold back any longer, Mama Su pulled Jing Yun aside and told him, that joke you made just now was too much. How could you hurt your eldest brother like that? Mother, does the fact that you've pulled me here mean you have doubts? Mama Su said nothing. After all, she had searched for Jing Yun at the airport for a long time after she lost him, and spent the last few days in a miserable state. Even so, she knew very well that when she returned to the Su family's island, she found Su Yihong's clothes that he never wore before in his room. Moreover, Jing Yun wasn't young then. How could he simply follow a stranger? Unless that person was someone he knew and trusted enough. Your father and I will naturally get to the bottom of this matter. You have to be quick or Su Yihong would have emptied Su Holdings. Chapter 377. Since they had fallen out, there was no way they could get along well from now on. Mother and son returned to the door of the surgery room, and the eldest Su uncle soon left the room, accompanied by a nurse. Are you all right, eldest uncle? Su Yihong asked as he approached him. The eldest Su uncle's face was pale, but it was only his hand that was hurt. It's just a finger. It's not a big deal, but you have to be careful from now on, Yifeng. Don't be so reckless. You don't know, eldest uncle, but our third brother said a lot of unbelievable things during your surgery, including that I'm actually your son. The eldest Su uncle did a double take at those words before laughing out loud. Is that so? So funny. Jing Yun laughed as well. What's true can't be fake and what's fake can't be real. It's best if we don't meet each other in the future. Su Yihong said sternly. I'll have someone arrange another place for you to stay. Why aren't you leaving the Su family, eldest brother? You can do whatever you want in front of mom and dad if I leave. Do you think I don't know what you're up to? Su Yihong was determined to be the dominant figure. It was truly admirable that he could keep his composure even when the truth was just a paper's breadth away. That applies to you too, eldest brother. After all, I don't know what you would say in front of mom and dad, which is why I'm not moving out, Jing Yun said. Just like that, the two brothers began to hate each other, leaving the Su couple helpless. I've really saved an ingrate today. The eldest Su uncle could not help snorting. Still, Yihong, your parents know what kind of person you are after being with the Su family for so many years. Don't worry, those people wouldn't be able to sow discord with just a few words. Don't worry? Eldest brother and eldest uncle can do a DNA test, and everything will be fine. I'll be waiting. With that, eldest Uncle Su turned to look at his younger brother. Third brother, you're amazing. You've only returned to the Su family for a few days, and you're already stirring up trouble. You better keep your eyes open or else it won't look good when you get tricked. As for my hand, I originally wanted to let it go. But since you, my son, want to do this, I have no choice but to hold back. You should compensate me for what you should. Also, in the future he will be the only one at Su Enterprise. Both father and son were quite good. After following Xing Xiao for so many years and seeing so many actors, the pair's acting skills were above average. After that, both eldest Uncle Su and Su Yihong left the hospital, while Mama Su turned to Jing Yun and said, "Let's go home. Your father needs to investigate this matter." "All right." Jing Yun nodded. After that, the family of three returned to the Su residence, where Su Yihong was already sitting on the living room sofa, watching the three of them. "Mother, just who exactly left the Su family?" "The two of you have to say something." It appeared that Su Yihong was trying to force Jing Yun to leave the Su family. Mama Su had always been smart, but she was clearly troubled when it came to that, which was why she simply looked at Papa Su. "You make the decision on this matter." Sigh. Papa Su sighed and answered his family. "Since things have come to this, we must first investigate who is lying. How about this, Mom? I'll arrange another place for you, Yifeng and Minglan, but we still have to prepare for the wedding." What Papa Su meant was that he and Su Yihong would stay in the manor. "I'll bring you back when things are sorted out." Mama Su thought about it and decided that it was the best solution at the moment. "All right, I'll listen to you. What about you, Yifeng?" "I'll naturally listen to you, father." After all, in that very moment, Jing Yun appeared to be a pusher who had disrupted a happy family. Even so, Mama Su understood Jing Yun well. If things like this were not cleared up, the damage would only be greater in the end. "That's good. I'll do the DNA test as soon as possible, father." Live outside? How could Jing Yun not worry? Would Su Yihong spare him after he had disrupted Su Yihong's career over the years? That was why he promptly brought Xing Minglan and Mama Su to Jing Ting. In the end, Xing Minglan was a Sheng and there was nothing wrong with her staying here. Still, he even brought his elders. Xing Xiao couldn't help frowning. He can't even handle such a small matter and is even chased out. Eighth brother Jing Yun almost lost both his hands today. If he doesn't make things clear now, who knows what Su Yihong would do behind his back. That's why he had no choice. Xing Minglan explained. Rising from the sofa, Xing Xiao did not really make things difficult for them. "You can stay at Jing Ting for now. And I will return to the Shen's residence." "Actually, young Master Sheng, you don't have to go through all that trouble. Aunt, you are Jing Yun's mother and naturally a guest. You would feel uncomfortable with Chi'er and I here, and we have our own things to do. It's more convenient to stay at the Shen's residence for now." Xing Xiao replied. "Eighth brother, are you really not going to care about the Sheng family's affairs? I'm just a live-in son-in-law with nothing to do right now. Don't you know that?" Xing Xiao raised a brow at Xing Minglan. "I don't believe you." Xing Minglan rolled her eyes. "Still, I do have to be careful this time. I have many places under my name, and I wouldn't have to bother you and Xiao Qi." At that, Xing Xiao smiled and looked seductively at Jing Yun. There are only two outcomes when the matter is exposed. The first is to fill in the loophole, but it cannot be hidden forever when it comes to blood ties. That is why Su Yihong is holding you guys back now, but he is more likely to lean towards the second objective, which is to make time to empty Su Holdings. Because he knows that it's only a matter of time before his identity is exposed. And that eldest uncle of yours has been working with Su Yihong for years at Su Holdings. There's no telling how many traps he has set, and Su Holdings would definitely be in trouble if this continues. What do you plan to do? Jing Yun looked at Xing Xiao as well but said nothing. You've been with me for so many years. Such a small matter shouldn't trouble you, right? I'm guessing that Uncle Su is staying at the manor because he knows what Su Yihong is up to. What I'm afraid of is that Su Yihong has already prepared the shell of his new company, and is ready to slip away. Mama Su felt a chill just by hearing that. Chapter 378. Luckily, I managed to cut my losses in time. The title of the Crown Prince is indeed well-deserved. Mama Su couldn't help sighing at that. It's also fortunate that Feng has learned to be calm and reserved after being with you for so many years, or eldest brother would have played him to death. The reason Mama Su was so certain that Su Yihong was a fake was because Jing Yun had shown her the DNA test. Thinking back to what had happened all those years ago, Papa Su might not have noticed it. But as a mother and a woman, it wasn't as if she couldn't feel anything. For example, Su Yihong had deliberately led her down many wrong paths when she was searching for Jing Yun over the years. Although the imposter's excuse was so high-sounding when he was discovered, and instead of having Mama Su keep searching, it would be better to find a fake one. Everything would be perfect. If you're smart, uncle, you would immediately suspend Su Yihong from his position and cut off all contact between him and Su Holdings. After all, there could be a good reason. Alright, I've said so much. It's time for me to pick up Chi. After all, I'm a person who has nothing better to do now. Thank you, young master. Jing Yun told Xing Xiao. Xing Xiao waved him off nonchalantly. He knew from the start that Jing Yun's matter wouldn't go so smoothly. How could Su Yihong be exposed so easily after lurking in Su Holdings for so many years? Not even Jing Yun himself had such a dream. Still, Su Yihong's methods were ruthless and he couldn't let him stay in the dark anymore. Mu Qiqi couldn't help asking Xing Xiao when she saw that they were heading to the Shen's residence today. Grandpa, are we going back for dinner? Jing Yun has taken over Jing Ting for the time being. Xing Xiao replied and told Mu Qiqi everything that happened to Jing Yun at Su Holdings today. Mu Qiqi couldn't help shuddering when she heard it all. I've been to Su Yihong's class. Xing Xiao raised his voice dangerously. It was that time when I was waiting for my instructor. I saw that man from afar and knew that he wasn't simple at all. The dominance and ambition he showed left a deep impression. That's why Jing Yun has met his match. Xing Xiao chuckled. I can also see what this person has learned after following me for all these years. Both of them returned to the Shin residence, but the smell on Mu Qiqi was unbearable. That was why the first thing Xing Xiao did was to have Mu Qiqi take a bath in her room. When old Shin saw Xing Xiao entering the fish pond alone, he knew that his granddaughter must have run into some terrible corpse. My retired comrades often talked to me about you in the past few days. After all, our families have been friends for generations. It's really a pity that things have come to this. Your second brother is in charge of the Sheng family now. Rumor has it that your grandfather has already announced that he is cutting all ties with you and drawing a clear line between them. It's true. Xing Xiao looked at the calm surface of the water and smiled. I'd be happy to see him nurture a new force. Seeing that he had really let it go, Grandpa Xing stopped talking about the Sheng family. How's Zhongting going? I'm meeting with the military procurement department tomorrow, Xing Xiao replied. Let's see if the crown prince can still make it in another line of work. The old man teased Xing Xiao. You know, you have nothing now. You're only able to do whatever you want under the Shen family's protection because you're basking in Mu Qiqi's light. That's why I say that Chi'er is my lucky charm. Xing Xiao did not mind the old man's teasing at all, just as the old man did not really despise Xing Xiao for having nothing. The kid had talent and means, which was why Grandpa Sheng would keep pestering him. One more thing. Rumor has it that the granddaughter of an old friend would come to the Sheng family in 2 days. Do you know about that? Old friend? It was the young lady of the Gu family whom old Sheng had taken a liking to. Even if he didn't return to Huang Yao, Grandpa Gu was still determined to stand on the same side as the Gu family, right? I hope that this matter won't cause any harm to Xiao Qi. In that case, it would be better to know if the young lady whom old Sheng had taken a liking to was for him or second brother. Meanwhile, after Mama Su and the others left the Su residence, Papa Su suspended Su Yihong for the time being just as Xing Xiao expected. Yihong, I believe you're innocent, but this is a serious matter. I have to get to the bottom of this and clear your name, or you would be criticized no matter how much you do for Su Holdings. Su Yihong naturally pretended to be innocent. Don't worry, Dad. I understand. Alright, we'll do a paternity test tomorrow. Be that as it may, Su Yihong was talking to eldest Uncle Su on the phone behind Papa Su's back. Our combined shares are the second largest in the Su family, and I'm holding the latest project at Su Holdings. With Fei Fei helping me with the accounting fraud, what's left of Su Holdings now? The new project is the most valuable. You have to keep an eye on it. That alone is enough for us to leave and start our own business. What are we waiting for? My silly brother is still trying to investigate our relationship. What's there to investigate? Dad, you can leave Su Holdings first. I'll cover you. You really shouldn't underestimate Su Yifeng. I didn't expect that he would dig out what we've been hiding for years. Do you have the confidence to escape unscathed? I don't think he's easy. Su Yihong couldn't help chuckling at that. It's too late even if he has 3 heads and 6 arms. Moreover, I really don't think he's anything special. Isn't he just tagging along with that crown prince of Huang Yao? Now that Xing Xiao has been chased out of the Sheng family and Huang Yao has been shuffled, what does he have to fear? Su Yihong was cautious enough, but he was still a little conceited. That said, I'd like to see how Su Yifeng would turn things around. Turn things around? That was easy. It was late at night at Jingting. The living room was still lit, and Jing Yun was talking to Xing Xiao on the phone while Mama Su and Xing Minglan were asleep. I've learned from Mother that Su Yihong holds the latest research results of Su Holdings. He's the future of Su Holdings, and I've calculated his and eldest uncle's shares, they're a great threat to Su Holdings too. What research results could it be that he's holding on to? Sheng Xiao asked Jing Yun in return. It's not as if we haven't faced such a situation before. He wants to take it? Then let him take it. As long as your father tells the relevant departments that the technology is a major safety hazard, or come up with a more serious reason to stop it, what use is there for him to hold on to the latest research results? Chapter 379. Having showered, Xing Zhao's muscular body was revealed as he sat on the sofa in the room, talking to Jing Yun on the phone. After all, every room in the Shin family's villa had its own bathroom and study, and he liked the antique furnishings from the bottom of his heart. Tomorrow was the day he would take a new step. Without the dazzling diamonds and his status as the crown prince, he must now be more composed and reserved, and definitely could not show his old image to others. Mu Qiqi was aware that he would be discussing the partnership with Zhongting tomorrow. That was why she sat on the bed after her shower and carefully observed the man. Although Xing Xiao was reading documents and talking to Jing Yun on the phone, he knew that the little one was staring at him with a heated gaze, and he could not concentrate. You're peeking at me for so long, are you all right? Mu Qiqi smiled as she got off the bed and climbed onto Xing Zhao's lap. Who asked you to be so handsome? Is there something you want to talk to me about? Tomorrow, isn't it a new start for Zhongting? I hope everything goes well for my husband. Mu Qiqi looked down at Xing Zhao's collarbone and traced the shape of the tattoo with her finger. Sheng Xiao looked down at the little one in his arms and gave her a peck on her lips. At least you have a conscience. It's not a waste for me to abandon the Diamond Empire. Well, it's getting late. Let's rest. Mu Qiqi started drawing circles on Xing Zhao's chest. Holding her little hand, Xing Xiao carried her horizontally and walked towards the bed. In fact, Huang Yu and Mu Qiqi had been gossiping about the Xing family after dinner, telling her that Miss Gu was coming to visit them. The outside world had many speculations after the two families made such a big fuss. Old Xing, you found another backer for Huang Yao. Now that second brother and third sister are not married, second brother is most likely to get married. You don't know second aunt? Mu Qiqi smiled at Huang Yu. Why do you think old Xing is in such a hurry to call off my engagement with Xiao Xiao? He's not preparing Miss Gu for the rest of the Xing family but for Xiao Xiao. But hasn't eighth brother already left Huang Yao? Old Xing probably thinks that Xiao Xiao is throwing a tantrum. Moreover, even if Xiao Xiao is outside, the two families could still ignore his feelings and settle things on their own. Mu Qiqi knew very well about old Xing. She had almost figured out all of his tricks. Even without eighth brother's consent? When has he ever respected the opinions of his grandchildren? Mu Qiqi asked Huang Yu in return. Huang Yu gave Mu Qiqi a thumbs up after hearing that. You are becoming more and more like the eldest daughter of the Shin family now. You are not like the timid little girl when we first met. Why are you afraid of the Xing family? The Shin family is not a family that ordinary people can get involved with. Mu Qiqi smiled. Qiqi? I mean, if eighth brother was forced to go back and marry the young lady of the Gu family, what would you do? Although it was an impossible assumption in her mind, she thought about it carefully since Huang Yu asked. What if? Huang Yu said, what if there would come a day when Xiao Xiao must marry the young lady of the Gu family, and I would find the strongest man to marry, and ignore him? Huang Yu couldn't help laughing at that. You're the one who can't bear to. Gu Xiling, the young lady of the Gu family, was about to visit the Sheng family. Old Xing had deliberately leaked the news so that Xing Xiao would know that if he did not return to the Xing family, neither the heir of Huang Yao nor the young lady of the Gu family would belong to him. Of course, old Xing's move was probably meant to slap the Shin family in the face. I've broken off my engagement with you and found another perfect marriage alliance. Still, everyone knows that the crown prince has abandoned Huang Yao and would rather stay with the Shin family as a pauper with nothing. The next day was a big day for the Sheng family. Thanks to second brother's arrangements, the Gu family was bringing Gu Xiling to the Xing family as a guest. In fact, it was old Xing's first time meeting Gu Xiling in person, and he had only seen her in pictures before. Many things had happened to the Xing family recently, and they were in a precarious situation. Grandpa Xing had brought her over at this time because he wanted to stabilize Huang Yao. After all, with a strong marriage alliance, their strength would be even stronger. It was to let the outside world see that Huang Yao had Su Holdings first and then the Gu family. Even if Xing Xiao was not here, the shareholders would have full confidence in Huang Yao. Second brother had been busy for days just for this meeting. Still, although the engagement with the Shin family had been broken off, eighth brother was not at home. Was the old man not afraid that the Gu family would not be willing to have the Gu family come? At the moment he was not aware that he was one of the candidates. That morning several white Maseratis drove to the Xing family's house. Mama Gu was not the only guest, but also Papa Gu and Gu Ziling's aunt. There were only 4 of them, but they brought 8 bodyguards. It was probably to set the scene for Gu Ziling. Everyone in the Xing family had returned, but not Xing Zhao's family. In the instant that Gu Ziling entered the house in her long black dress, second brother felt as if something had struck him in the heart. All he could think about was Gu Ziling's fiery red lips. She had long wavy hair and a face that resembled a goose egg, with a tear-shaped mole beneath her fine eyelashes that was particularly eye-catching. Of course, there was a hint of coldness in the young lady's presence. The young lady of the Gu family is truly extraordinary. Ziling, you should treat the Xing family as your own. You're too kind, Grandpa Xing. Gu Ziling was very aware of the Xing family's current situation. Her parents wanted her to choose between Xing Xiao and the second young master, and see who she liked. If she liked the second young master, things would be simple: get engaged and get married. But if it was Xing Xiao, things would be much more complicated. After all, Xing Xiao was not with the Xing family at all but the Xin family. Gu Ziling had naturally heard about what happened between him and Mu Qiqi. Ziling, take a good look at second young master. Do you like him? Mama Gu asked her daughter quietly, gesturing at second brother with her chin after everyone had taken their seats. Gu Ziling glanced at second brother before answering her mother. Isn't there another one? Does that mean you're leaning towards Xing Xiao, the crown prince? I would like to meet him, Gu Ziling said. Since you're staying with the Xing family for some time, you would have the chance to meet him. It's a little troublesome, but my daughter likes it. Chapter 380. Second brother, you like Miss Gu, don't you? Sixth brother chuckled when he saw second brother's gaze. Well, it's no wonder. Such an icy beauty with such a temperament would definitely make anyone want to conquer her. Still, it's a shame that grandfather is keeping her for eighth brother. Don't talk nonsense. Second brother warned him. It would be better if eighth brother never returned to the Xing family. He could just be a pauper at the Xin family. Sixth brother's unintentional words really gave second brother an idea. He had certainly been convinced by Xing Zhao's methods when he was around, which was why he always let Xing Xiao do whatever he wanted, believing that it was only natural. But now that Xing Xiao did not want anything from the Xing family, second brother believed that he had the right to compete with eighth brother. I don't have to say it, but I really don't care for Miss Gu's looks and family background. So what if she's the mayor? Don't even think about Miss Gu. Grandfather has plans. Second brother, don't tell me I don't even know this much. I know Miss Gu isn't keeping it for me, but I think you could try to fight for her. Miss Gu would be staying at our house for a while. You could slowly cultivate your feelings. Just as sixth brother finished speaking, old Xing told second brother, find some time to walk around with Ziling and familiarize yourself with the Xing family. Don't disappoint me, second brother. Don't worry, grandfather. Gu Ziling turned to look at second brother. The truth was that the man's looks were top-notch, or at least 1 in a million. Even so, she had great expectations for the legendary crown prince. There were some things that she would never know unless she met him. At the moment, Xing Xiao was wearing a very formal black handmade suit in a very formal business clubhouse, walking together with a group of people in military uniform. Su Che was beside him, looking no different from a soldier. I really didn't expect that the crown prince of Huangyao would start a military business after leaving the Xing family. Life is full of twists and choices, isn't it? Secretary He. Xing Xiao had arranged everything very well. Because of the man's identity, Xing Xiao had always strived to keep a low profile. That left the man very satisfied. He was already aware of Xing Zhao's invincibility in the business world, and his great success at such a young age. He certainly had extraordinary skills. Xing Xiao, I hope that the quality of your products would live up to my trust. Thank you, Secretary He. The quality of military supplies is very important. Nothing is more important than quality. Then, let's have a pleasant cooperation. Just like how it was back at Huangyao, Xing Xiao had secured a major contract with Zhongting. Such an outstanding young man. I'll see you off, brother. While old Xing was plotting how to make Xing Xiao admit defeat, Xing Xiao had already successfully negotiated the partnership between Zhongting and the military. Other than his relationship with the Shen family, his personal ability was also an important factor in the other party's choice. Such a person when he was in Huangyao was so sharp, but now that he had changed his profession he immediately put away his edge. He did not drive a sports car, did not wear bright clothes, and spoke and did things modestly and calmly. This man, his life was very flexible. Brother. Xing Te's brother Xin. Xing Xiao and Su Che saw her off safely, and then returned to the Xin family. Chief Xing, you seem to understand the needs of the army. Su Che had learned another thing about Xing Xiao today. She had thought that since he was in the diamond business and had suddenly changed his profession, he would more or less be ignorant of the trade. However, after listening to Xing Xiao's briefing to Secretary He today, he felt that Xing Xiao had been in the military before. Xing Xiao sat in the car and closed his eyes slightly. It's not difficult to know what the other party wants. I just need to observe you carefully. Su Che froze for a moment. It turned out that Xing Xiao had such considerations when he asked him to be his assistant. There were some people that you just couldn't help but admire. So, are we going to use this method to receive customers in the future? Let's keep a low profile if we can, Xing Xiao said. After all, everyone we come into contact with now has a shocking background. In the future he would not be able to play those tricks anymore. But it's also more mysterious and powerful, isn't it? Xing Xiao's lips curled into a smile. He adjusted himself to a comfortable angle and closed his eyes. That's more interesting, isn't it? Well, it's still early. Where are we going? Put me in the forensics lab. You go back to the Xin family. Are you going to see Miss Chi-Chi as an assistant? That was not a place anyone could enter. Even if he was Chi-Er's partner, he could not simply enter the criminal investigation department. Mu Chi-Chi had been seeing more corpses lately, and her experience was gradually increasing. She could analyze whether it was homicide, suicide, poisoning, or drowning, and whether the corpse was found at the first crime scene or where the body was dumped. The professor from the forensics department really liked Mu Chi-Chi. Otherwise, he wouldn't have specially recruited a freshman to be his assistant. But today Mu Chi-Chi was faced with a charred corpse. It was quite similar to when Su Ziqing passed away. So much time had passed without her realizing it. Chi-Chi, what do you think about the corpse today? The victim was burned after death. If he was burned alive, his muscles would have contracted due to the heat, and his limbs would be in a fighting stance. That is why the corpse would not have any signs of life before it was burned. Following that line of thought, we should look for other causes of death. In fact, Mu Chi-Chi wanted to say that she could tell the victim's age from the obvious wound on the head, but she felt that she was still too young and it would be best for her to speak less. That's as good as not saying anything. The experienced forensics professor could not help chuckling. Mu Chi-Chi studied seriously and walked out of the forensics lab an hour later. It was the first time Xing Xiao saw Mu Chi-Chi wearing a white gown. From the looks of it, she really had a trace of a forensic doctor's aura. Why are you here, Xiao Xiao? Mu Chi-Chi naturally went to him when she saw him. To bring you home. Xing Xiao replied. With that, he reached out to hug Mu Chi-Chi, but Mu Chi-Chi dodged his hand. There's a smell on my body. We've already discussed about the cooperation, right? It could be seen from Xing Xiao's formal black tailor-made suit. Can we go now? Mu Chi-Chi took off her white gown and nodded. Yes, where are you taking me? Chapter 381. How do you know I didn't prepare a gift? Mu Chi-Chi asked in return. Xing Xiao did not mind the smell on her, and held her hand as they headed to the hotel where they had booked lunch. Still, they met many people who knew Xing Xiao on the way and their attitudes towards him were quite interesting. The Crown Prince of Huangyao has changed now. It's really sad to see Xing Xiao now. He has no money or power, and yet he willingly lowered himself to be a live-in son-in-law of the Xin family. He ruined himself like this for a woman. I've been a fan of him for so many years. He doesn't have to be afraid of him now, does he? Mu Chi-Chi and Xing Xiao heard those discussions as they passed by, and sneered inwardly. Even if Xing Xiao had really left the Sheng family, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse, and those people would not have the right to point fingers at him. Xing Xiao, on the other hand, appeared nonchalant. He liked to see those people's reactions. These people really like to kick a man when he's down? Mu Chi-Chi argued for her man when she took a seat. What's the rush? Xing Xiao said meaningfully. Why waste your energy on unimportant people and things? Mu Chi-Chi only looked around at his words, and found herself surrounded by rose bushes. She could not help taking out the tie she had bought for Xing Xiao from her purse. There were blue stripes on it, a color that Xing Xiao would not even glance at in the past. But now he chose to keep a low profile. I wanted to give it to you last night, but you weren't wearing anything at the time. Xing Xiao lifted his chin. Come here and help me tie it. Muchichi rose from her seat and walked to Xing Xiao, tying his necktie for him like a newbie. Her movements were really clumsy. Xing Xiao wrapped his arm around her waist and watched as she seriously thought about the steps to tie the tie. Feeling pleased, he asked, "Did you just learn it?" "Yeah. I've watched videos online and failed a few times," Muchichi said quietly. "You've always been so impeccable in the Sheng family, and I rarely have the chance to help you with such trifles. Looks like my little one is learning how to be a good wife. Now that you're staying with the Shen family, I finally have the chance to play around with you. Or I'll kick you out." "How arrogant." Sheng Xiao smiled and suddenly hooked his arm around Muchichi's neck. Then he kissed her on the lips. "So, I'm like a tiger being bullied by a dog. You're the dog." Muchichi was rather dissatisfied with his description. Then she wrote on his thighs. "Moreover, I know your real intention today is not to celebrate. You just want to appease me so that I won't be bothered about Miss Gu." That's right. So many thoughts. After the two of them had enough intimacy, the two of them started the real lunch. In fact, Xing Xiao had another purpose. Old Xing had put on such a big show to give him a warning, and Xing Xiao would certainly return the favor. Grandpa Xing would be very anxious if he saw him eating out with his little one without their relationship being affected at all, wouldn't he? Sure enough, when old Xing learned about it, he slammed the table angrily and stood up. "You good for nothing. Can you eat by staying with a woman? The young master of the Sheng family is actually throwing himself at a woman. What a great humiliation to the Sheng family. If not for his ability, the Sheng family would have gotten rid of such an unworthy descendant long ago." Meanwhile, at the Su residence, Su Yihong and Papa Su had gone to the hospital for a paternity test. He appeared unfazed in the face of danger, as if he wasn't worried about the outcome at all. Was his composure really because Jing Yun had wronged him, or was he putting on an act for Papa Su's benefit? "Father, I believe that the test would prove my innocence. When the time comes, you would know who is lying between me and Yifeng. I don't want you two brothers to turn against each other," Papa Su said emotionally. Su Yihong interacted with his father as usual. The more nervous he was, the more he reminded himself not to show any flaws. That way he and eldest Uncle Su would have more time to empty the Su family. Moreover, the core project of the Su family was all under his control. To smoothly seize Su Holdings, he and eldest Uncle Su had even thought of a way to seize management rights. Even if he was temporarily suspended now, it would not affect the progress of their plan. On the other hand, what could Jing Yun do even if he was the third young master of the Su family? Wasn't there nothing they could do about him? Now that news of Su Yihong's suspension had spread, Su Holdings would definitely take sides. Now was the best time to reshuffle the cards. And Jing Yun had no leverage in this war. After learning that the two had gone for a DNA test, Mama Su told Papa Su over the phone, "I really didn't think that eldest brother could be so calm. Old Su, I've seen the DNA test between Yifeng and eldest brother, and I believe that Feng is telling the truth. You must be careful. Even if we know, we can't do anything about him without the results." Moreover, he had been lurking in Su Holdings for years and had made all sorts of preparations. "We can't stop him now even if we wanted to. Do you want to talk to Feng?" Mama Su asked Papa Su. "After all, he has so many years of experience. Give the phone to Feng." Papa Su said. "Father." Jing Yun called out calmly after taking the phone. "Tell me what you think." Jing Yun said nothing and Papa Su sighed too. "Don't worry and speak boldly. I don't know why, but deep down I'm more willing to believe you. Not only do you want to suspend eldest brother but eldest uncle too. You're the one in charge of Su Holdings and you don't need to find any reasonable reason, or just suspending eldest brother would be useless. Secondly, clean up eldest brother's spies and Su Holdings. Think of a way to find out who eldest brother's people are, and think of a way to replace those who are close to eldest brother. Thirdly, stop the core project in eldest brother's hands. You must work with the relevant departments beforehand, and not let it fall into eldest brother's hands even if it has to be scrapped. Otherwise Su Holdings would lose even more if he took it away. Before they found me, both father and son had only wanted to seize power in secret. But now that I'm here, they have no choice but to make more moves." Chapter 382. When did the assessment center say the results would be out? 3 days. What? Papa Su pressed. Expediting it would save time and catch eldest brother off guard. Papa Su nodded at Jing Yun's words. "Come back as soon as possible when the storm blows over and share my burden. Although it's a little weird to say this now, I still want to say that it's worth it if this could bring you closer to father and son. Mama Su said to Jing Yun after hanging up. I want to go home as soon as possible. Jing Ting is the crown prince's place, and having him stay at the Shen's isn't a solution. Don't worry, mother. Things might be troublesome, but it's not impossible. As for Sheng Xiao, how could he not know what he was thinking after being with him for so many years? If Sheng Xiao stayed at Jing Ting, old Sheng would definitely send people to harass Mu Qiqi. On the other hand, staying at the Shen's residence was much safer. And now that he was the son-in-law of the Sheng family, it was only reasonable that he would stay with Sheng Minglan at Jing Ting. At night at the Sheng's residence. It was the second day after Gu Xiling moved into the Sheng's residence. To take care of his future granddaughter-in-law, old Sheng had decorated the best room in the Sheng's residence to look like her own room at the Gu's residence, even instructing the butler to pay attention to Gu Xiling's needs at all times. Gu Xiling quickly got acquainted with everyone in the Sheng family, and naturally learned what kind of existence and role Sheng Xiao had in the family. While second brother was extraordinary, he was ultimately no match for a genius like Sheng Xiao. Still, with Sheng Xiao hiding at the Shen's residence, there was nothing she could do even if she wanted to meet him, was there not? At night, second brother returned from Huangyao and found Gu Xiling drinking tea alone at the Sheng's golf course. He walked up to her and asked, "Aren't you cold?" Gu Xiling turned and smiled at second brother. "I'm staying at the Sheng's residence and Grandpa Sheng treats me so well. Why would I feel cold? Grandpa likes you a lot." Second brother sat down beside Gu Xiling. "But eighth brother, speaking of which, second brother, I happen to have a favor to ask." "Tell me." "I want to meet Sheng Xiao in secret," said Gu Xiling. "I'm really curious about him." Second brother felt a tightness in his chest at that. He is staying with the Shen family now, and the Sheng family doesn't know where he is. He definitely wouldn't come out when we meet. It's Grandpa's birthday in March. By then, eighth brother would have lost all his anger and calmed down completely. When that time comes, we'll let him return to the Sheng family and you'll be able to see him. It seems that this is the only way. Gu Xiling nodded helplessly. Her request to see her future fiancé seemed to be perfectly justified. Once Gu Xiling was sure that the person she liked was Sheng Xiao, the old man would announce the good news at once, regardless of whether Sheng Xiao agreed or not. Even so, for some reason, second brother was feeling uncomfortable inside. The weather is still very cold. Go back to your room and rest. Okay. Gu Xiling nodded. In fact, she had the same plan. It was time to go back to her room. Why was Gu Xiling leaning toward Sheng Xiao? It was simple. She did not need a man who loved her very much. All she wanted was a marriage in name only, and used that to leave the Gu family. That was why second brother was never her choice from the start. Sheng Xiao and Mu Qiqi were now stuck together and passionately in love. It was clear that he did not fancy her, which made him more likely to agree to be a contract couple. Even so, Gu Xiling was overthinking things. Of all her thoughts, the fact that Sheng Xiao and Mu Qiqi were inseparable was the only thing that was right. First of all, Sheng Xiao would never be engaged to her. Second, Mu Qiqi was not a simple person who would let Sheng Xiao rob her just like that. Third, she had underestimated how much Sheng Xiao hated the Sheng family. As for why second brother was not her choice, a woman's intuition was very accurate. She could understand a thing or two from the way second brother looked at her. While he did not like her that much, second brother definitely saw her as an ideal partner. Even so, the last thing she needed in this life was a man's love. She was scared. On the other hand, the grandson of the Sheng family had been staying with the Shen family without a proper reason. Naturally, Old Master Sheng could do many things that would make Old Master Shen lose face and say things that would hurt Old Master Shen's ears. The two families had been friends for years, but now that things had fallen to such a state, it was a pity and a pity. For example, one of the rumors was that the Shen family could not have a son, and so wanted a grandson for free? Or that she was the greatest vixen in all of Jianchuan, seducing men at the age of 18 and causing a rift between her grandson and her family. What was that if not capability? Old Shen was naturally angry at those words, but he could not lash out. After all, Sheng Xiao was staying with the Shen family without a proper reason. Moreover, the engagement between the two families had been annulled, and Sheng Xiao really had no right to stay here. Sensing her grandfather's anger, Mu Qiqi pretended to be obedient. "You're a man of merit, grandfather. Why bother with those people? I feel sorry for you. You're so young and yet you're being criticized so harshly." "Grandfather." Mu Qiqi leaned on the old man's shoulder and cried coquettishly. "Xiao Xiao would abandon the Sheng family for me. I can't just let him be and pick up a husband for free, don't you think? If you weren't so young, I would have asked you to do it, and I would have picked up a grandson for free. What's wrong with that? The old man snorted. I just don't get it. He's already so old. Why does he still have the effort to interfere with the affairs of his grandchildren? What does he not like about the granddaughter of the Shin family? Because I'm disobedient. Muchichi found the root of the problem. Her birth was controversial in the first place, but that was fine since the Shin family's reputation had been restored. Still, she insisted on being a forensic doctor and did not contribute to Huangyao at all. That was what old Shin could not stand. Who is he trying to provoke by looking for the daughter of the Gu family? He can't even watch over his grandson. He's spreading such nasty rumors just to force Xiao Xiao to show up. You should be magnanimous and forgive the Sheng family. Grandfather and granddaughter were still chatting by the fish pond after nightfall. Xing Xiao, who had come to catch Muchichi to rest, heard their conversation. He was aware of the shouts from the Sheng family. While it was within his expectations that the Shen family would be dragged into the mess, he could not let the Shen family suffer all the time. That was why Xing Xiao did not ask Muchichi to return to her room after listening to their conversation. Instead, he turned and left so that the grandfather and granddaughter could have a good talk. Chapter 383. By the way, the old man of the Xing family had thought of a way to cancel the engagement with the Shen family, and then turned around and welcomed the young lady of the Gu family into his family. What does that mean? Old Xing is really displeased with the little bride being his granddaughter-in-law. Back then, this little bride had also shown amazing results during the VVIP night of Huangyao. It's a pity that old Xing really doesn't want to pay the bill. So, the Sheng family spread the rumor that the Shen family hid their grandson and couldn't give birth to a son. Could it be that you can't give birth to a daughter, and that's why you brought the young lady of the Gu family home? The crown prince has hands and feet, but he would rather give up on a bright future in Huangyao to stay with the Shen family. It only means that the Sheng family is a failure. Unable to have a child, they are driven to desperation and say things to provoke the Shen family. Forgive me for being blunt, but old Shen is a military man while old Sheng is a stinky businessman. Are you bullying the Shen family because you have some reputation and many customers? Old friends? The Sheng family's method of killing the donkey after it's no longer useful is really the same. Stinky. Overnight, the mood among the nobles changed abruptly, thanks to Xing Zhao's wide network of friends. The more friends he had, the more things he could do. Xing Xiao promptly called the old man. From now on, he would spread rumors about the Sheng family and the Shen family even more. Of course, it had to be detrimental to the Sheng family. How could old Xing sit still after hearing these rumors? He called old Master Shen directly. But unfortunately, old Master Shen had already deleted his contact information. Hence, when he saw the unknown number, he asked in confusion, "Who is this?" Old Sheng's face fell in anger. "It's me. Oh, it's you. What is it?" Old Shen retorted impatiently. "Old Shen, we've been friends for years. How could you bear to make such a fuss over something so trivial? Moreover, eighth brother is a grandson of the Sheng family. What reason does the Shen family have to stop him from returning home? I don't want to talk nonsense with you. If you want to see eighth brother, go to the Shen family and wait for him. Don't blame me for hiding your grandson. You can't take care of your grandson. It's your incompetence." Grandpa Shen was also angry. "I have already prepared a new wife candidate for eighth brother. I hope that the Shen family will not interfere. How dare you? Don't call me again." Grandpa Shen hung up the phone abruptly. It was no wonder that Grandpa Sheng was angry. When he thought of the excuse that Grandpa Sheng had used to break off the engagement, he felt like he had swallowed a fly. They had been working hand in hand for so many years, but in the end, things had come to this. Soon, old Xing hung up and went to the Shen's residence with his butler. He believed that as long as the Shen family did not encourage or support him, he would have returned home long ago. After all, how could he survive in Jianchuan without Huangyao and status? "Master, if you do this, it won't work on eighth young master. You know he won't be moved by force or persuasion. Remind me not to be so hot-tempered when I see him. Give him some face and say a few good words." Grandpa Shen was very reluctant. "Got it." Moments later, Xing Zhao's car drove out of the Shen's residence. It was a very ordinary black Mercedes-Benz. Su Che was the driver and they found Grandpa Xing waiting by the door when they got out. "Chief Xing." If Xing Xiao had not stopped the car on his own, Grandpa Xing might not have known that the ordinary car was eighth brother's. How could that be possible with eighth brother's flamboyant personality? How could he know that Xing Xiao was deliberately keeping a low profile? Watching as Xing Xiao got out of the car, Grandpa Xing snorted coldly and walked towards him. When they met, Xing Xiao's first words were, "You haven't given up yet? Eighth brother, you can't just hide in the Shin's residence, can you? You are a Sheng and you can't stay in the Shin's residence without a proper reason. It wouldn't be nice if word got out. I'll let bygones be bygones as long as you come home with me." Was that what he meant by nice? Xing Xiao promptly put his hands in his pockets at that. "If you don't try to spread those disgusting rumors, I think I might do as you wish. Isn't it your birthday in March? I'll give you an answer on your birthday, but don't do such useless things in the meantime, and don't appear before the Shin family. Don't come looking for me in the meantime and don't push your luck." Grandpa Sheng's brow relaxed at that. "Are you serious?" "Of course. Brat, I'll trust you one more time. Don't do anything that hurts me. You better do as you say, or I'll never step through the gates of the Shin family for the rest of my life." With that, Xing Xiao opened the car door and got into the car, instructing Su Che to drive. "Master, it seems that young master has his own difficulties. Since he likes Miss Mu Chichi so much, let him handle his personal affairs, and he would be able to give Miss Gu an explanation when he returns to the Shin family." Grandpa Xing nodded at the butler's words. The brat has never gone back on his word. Since he plans to return to the Xing family on my birthday, I would certainly be generous enough to let him bid farewell to Mu Chichi. In the end he was still a Sheng. No matter how many tricks the Shin family had up their sleeves, they couldn't stop Xing Xiao from returning to his real home. But what was Xing Xiao planning? On the day of the old man's birthday, he would naturally announce to the world that he would become the Shin family's live-in son-in-law, rent the biggest billboard in Jianchuan, and hang it up for a week. Would old Xing still not give up then? Right now, he was merely keeping the old man in check so that he wouldn't hurt the Shin family again. Old Xing was in a good mood when he returned to the Xing family. Curious, sixth brother asked the butler, "What's making you so happy, Grandpa?" "Eighth young master might return on your birthday." The butler appeared excited as well. Sixth brother, however, was not as happy. Was eighth brother really giving up on Mu Chichi? And what did he take the Xing family for? A food market? Going out as he pleased and coming back as he pleased. Hence, sixth brother vented his displeasure in front of second brother. "Eighth brother is so lucky. Leaving aside the fact that you're giving up your position, second brother, the daughter of the Gu family is already prepared for him." Second brother did not feel good about it at that. No matter how resolute Grandpa Xing was, he knew very well that Grandpa Xing only had Xing Xiao as his successor. No matter how hard he tried, it would all be in vain. Chapter 384. Even Gu Xiling, who had never met Xing Xiao before, was very curious about him. "Since eighth brother wants to come back, we'll just listen to his arrangements. Don't be so sour. You have to know that eighth brother has more ways to deal with Huang Yao. This is something that all of us must know." "What about Miss Gu? He clearly doesn't like her and now he has a fiancée. Grandfather is being too biased. We all know who eighth brother likes the most, and it's painful enough that he can't be with the person he loves the most. Why do you have to mock him like that?" Sixth brother sighed, but he did not keep complaining even if he was dissatisfied. "I really hope that eighth brother never comes back to the Xing family." Second brother said nothing else and simply kept working diligently. Although there was a seed of complaint in the depths of his heart, it did not sprout. On this day, old Xing calmed down after getting Xing Zhao's answer, and stopped bothering the Shin family. Moreover, old Xing told Gu Xiling about it too, and Gu Xiling would be able to meet Xing Xiao on his birthday as she wished. Meanwhile, the Shin family was finally at peace. Old Shin was very puzzled as to what Xing Xiao had done. Xing Xiao, on the other hand, told the old man that he had to tell his grandfather that he would give him an answer on his birthday. "You're definitely not thinking of returning to the Xing family." Old Shin saw through his trick at once. "It's my fault that the Shin family got involved in the first place, and I definitely have to take responsibility." Xing Xiao answered old Shin during dinner. "I'll tell him on his birthday that I intend to stay with the Shin family for the rest of my life, and that I'm just that stubborn. Are you still not going to make Zhongting public? When Zhongting is on track and I come into contact with more people, people would eventually know that I have a new identity." Xing Xiao did not mind being looked at by the outside world, be it humiliation or mockery. Just come at him. Meanwhile, the military would have more faith in Xing Zhao's ability to endure humiliation for the greater good. Grandpa Shin nodded and raised his eyebrows. "That will be a big shock. You have to deal with it properly." Otherwise, your grandfather will put all the blame on the Shin family in the future. I know. Let's go help Jing Yun and fourth sister since we can take a breather now, Mu Chichi suggested. There are many rumors about the Su family. Everyone in Su Holdings must be panicking now. Xing Xiao pinched Mu Chichi's chin and looked at her. Do you think Jing Yun can't clean up this mess? It's not that I don't believe him. I just feel that this matter cannot be dragged on like this. Your husband is going to be looked down upon very soon. Don't you care? Mu Chichi rolled her eyes and punched his chest. I think you're enjoying it. Xing Xiao held Mu Chichi's hand. At that moment, Grandpa Shin cleared his throat and reminded them to pay attention to the occasion. If Jing Yun needs help, he will ask for it. He hasn't called yet, which means that he can still handle it for now. If that's the case, take me to see Chanchan tonight. Xing Xiao did not say anything. He thought about the little one. It had been a long time since he last saw his good friend. After dinner, Xing Xiao went back to his room to change his clothes. At that moment, Grandpa Shin said to his granddaughter, "This kid is planning to take all the consequences on his grandfather's birthday. He loves you and has given up a lot for you. Although I have to nag him a little, I have to say that I have nothing to say about Xing Zhao's love for you." Xing Zhao's eyes widened. There are some things that even I might not be able to do. That is why, Chi-Chi, happiness belongs to two people. Don't let Xing Xiao keep sacrificing himself for you. Mu Chi-Chi couldn't help hugging her grandfather's arm at Grandpa Shin's words. With you supporting him like this, he won't have nothing. I might not be able to help him in business, but I can give him all my love. As long as he doesn't give up on me, I will follow him forever, Grandpa. After hearing this, the old man nodded in relief. It was rare for him to feel such a strong love from his grandchildren in such an impetuous society. Aren't you going out? Hurry up and go. When Mu Chi-Chi heard that, she stood up and turned around, only to find that Xing Xiao had changed his clothes and was standing behind them. Of course, Xing Xiao heard what she said just now. I'll follow you forever. Why can't you say those words of love in front of me? I don't want you to be smug. Mu Chi-Chi smiled. Come to think of it, it had been some time since Mu Chi-Chi and Lu Chanchan met, and Lu Chanchan had a lot of things to complain about with Mu Chi-Chi. The four of them met at a French restaurant, but Mu Chi-Chi looked at Lu Chanchan in confusion when she saw that Lin Mu and was bandaged. Did you do that? Lu Chanchan rolled her eyes and said angrily, I didn't do it. It's his grandfather. He got someone to beat him up. Are you talking about Grandpa Lin? He went back to the police academy and cut ties with his family. He had nowhere to go during the holidays, so I had to take him in. Perhaps his grandfather couldn't get used to seeing me and him together, so, you have a backbone. Mu Chi-Chi had a whole new level of respect for Lin Muan. The last time they had a big fight with the Lin family over Lu Chanchan's birthday, they were unexpectedly staying together as best friends. What do you plan to do next? He would go back to school when the academy reopens. What reason would he have to hang on to me? Lin Muan listened. But how was he supposed to eat his steak with one hand? Did you come to a French restaurant when you know I can't use my hand? Did you do it on purpose, little pepper? Moreover, I can protect you after I graduate from the academy. How could you be so heartless? All right. I'll believe you when your grandfather doesn't stop you at the door and beat you up. Lu Chanchan was disgusted, but still put her steak on Lin Muan's plate. Mu Chi-Chi looked at Xing Xiao by reflex at that. Everyone could see the adultery between the two. How could they still stay together as best brothers for so long? Think about us rich kids, each one is worse than the other. Lin Muan sighed even as he ate his steak. Isn't the crown prince empty now, and the Shin family's live-in son-in-law? He's not much better than me. How could you compare to the crown prince? Lu Chanchan quickly retorted. He has the ability to do whatever he wants. What about you? Little Pepper, I'm sincere in everything. Don't you see that I decided to become a police officer because of... Of course, Lin Muan did not say the word you, and simply froze. Chapter 385. Watching them bicker at each other was certainly soothing, and all worries were forgotten. Still, old Lin would not let Lin Muan roam free for long. If he really wanted to break free from the Lin family's control, he must learn how to plan now. If he did not have any thoughts deep in his heart and was as innocent as when he was with Lu Chanchan, there was basically no chance of saving them. Still, Xing Xiao did not say anything. It was only when they reached home that he told Mu Chi-Chi, Lin Muan will be caught soon. In truth, Muchichi knew very well that the likes and dislikes of these so-called big families did not matter at all. They always had endless responsibilities on their shoulders, and for the sake of their families, they should not hesitate to sacrifice themselves. Now it depends on whether Lin Mu is really naive or pretending to be naive. Sheng Zhao's lips curled into a radiant smile. The little one was very transparent, which was something he liked very much. Though young, she was not naive, and would not lose hope even if she knew the ways of the world. Lin Mu had been around old Lin for years. How could he not know what the old man was thinking? That day when he was beaten up by old Lin's men, he knew very well that his grandfather would not care about the relationship between grandfather and grandson when he became ruthless. After all, to old Lin, losing Xing Xiao was no different from losing a dog in the family. Although the dog did not have as many functions as he did, it was still more obedient than he was. After meeting Xing Xiao today, Lin Mu also knew that it was time to say goodbye to Lu Qianqian for the time being. Therefore, after dinner, Lin Mu told Lu Qianqian, "I've already asked the school leaders to help me apply for a police internship. If there are no accidents, the letter of recommendation will be here tomorrow." "Didn't you say that you would be my bodyguard for this month?" Lu Qianqian was puzzled. "Are you afraid that what happened that day would happen again?" "Yes, I'm not afraid of getting hurt. But I'm afraid of getting beaten again." Lin Muan laughed. "Silly girl, I should find my own things to do after accompanying you for these days. You have to inherit the family business and I have my own path to walk." Lu Qianqian finally nodded at his words. "It's been a quiet new year, it doesn't feel like New Year." Lin Mu smiled as he watched her finish eating. Then he reached out and ruffled her hair. "From now on you don't need to see the Lin family anymore. Let your grandfather beat me to death too. Look at how you, the young master of the Lin clan, are being tortured." "This is my own choice." Lin Mu was still the young master from before. He seemed to be so calm and carefree, but only he knew how it felt to have someone he wanted to protect in the depths of his heart. "Then, when can we meet again? Without you, my life would be a lot less fun." "Go and make more shady friends, I'll definitely appear." Lu Qianqian laughed as well. But in fact, both of them felt empty and upset that night. The next morning, the Su family. The results of Papa Su and Su Yihong's test should have taken 3 days, but since Papa Su had secretly rushed them, the results were out in 2 days. Mama Su quickly went to the identification center to get the results, and sent it to Papa Su. When Papa Su saw it, he was shaking with rage even though he was mentally prepared. Think about it, it was one thing for him to raise someone else's son for so many years, but his own son was abandoned by this pair of father and son. If it wasn't for Jing Yun's luck, he wouldn't even know that his own son had died outside. And now this pair of father and son were scheming against Su Holdings and trying to seize power? Although Papa Su usually didn't have a temper, it didn't mean he could tolerate such things. Since his own eldest brother had almost ruined his family, he would be letting down the trust he had in them over the years if he didn't retaliate. Not to mention the hardships Jing Yun had suffered outside. Hence, he quietly went to Jing Ting and got his lawyer to meet him. Then the whole family sat down and told the lawyer the whole story. The lawyer was an exclusive member of the Su family and had a good relationship with Su Yihong. Even so, he couldn't help sighing after reading the test report. "Chairman Su, I've watched Yihong grow up too. It's too scary if he really is that good at hiding things. Now, you just have to tell me what is the truth behind his relationship with my eldest brother." Papa Su was utterly disgusted now. The son he had loved for so many years was not his own son. Any other man would never be able to stand it. "I'll do my best to pin it on fraud. That way, all movable and immovable assets and shares that Su Yihong has enjoyed as your son should be frozen. Your eldest brother is privy to the matter, and it would be easier to pin him on fraud than Su Yihong, since it depends on whether Su Yihong is being proactive or passive. In private, I suggest you talk to your eldest sister-in-law about this. She might be able to provide you with more evidence. Also, keep an eye on Su Holdings' accounts." "Well, I'll have to trouble you with that, Lawyer Rong," Papa Su said. "I really pity your real eldest son and third son. That father and son are really out of their mind." After the lawyer left, Papa Su couldn't help hugging Jing Yun. "I've let you and your eldest brother down. You and your eldest brother have suffered. This has nothing to do with you, father. If that father and son hadn't been up to no good, eldest brother and I would have been fine. Although you're comforting me, I still feel guilty. Don't worry, I'll definitely give you an explanation. I'll have a board meeting this afternoon, and you should come back and help me." "What do you want to do, father?" What do I want to do? Papa Su turned to his wife. I'll have to trouble you with this, Mom. And phone, can you still contact Sui Hong's mistress? She's overseas now, but she's married to 3 other men. None of them are happy, and she even has a mixed-blood son. Can you convince her to come back as a witness? She won't be able to escape if eldest uncle charges her with fraud, which is why she would never help us. The best way is for them to fight each other, and things could only get out of hand that way. That's settled then. Our family of 3 will act separately, and I'll help you vent your frustrations. Sui Hong believed that he held a threat against the Su family. That was why there was a chance he could stir things up. Still, that was because Papa Su was still wary of his identity. Chapter 386. Sui Hong had expected a temporary board meeting at Su Holdings. Several of the shareholders who supported him had privately informed him that if there was a plan before, it could be carried out now. Sui Hong expected that Papa Su had called for the board meeting so urgently because he had already received the results of the DNA test beforehand. After all, Jing Yun had so many things on his mind that he would definitely have Papa Su handle it in advance. Still, Papa Su had his own plans and Sui Hong had his way. The board meeting at Su Holdings was about to begin at 2 in the afternoon, and Jing Yun followed Papa Su to the company. Naturally, he did not have the right to appear at the meeting. At the same time, Mama Su took the DNA test and Jing Yun's DNA test and asked a friend to meet the wife of eldest Uncle Su's wife, since she wanted to help her husband and son settle the matter as soon as possible. The wife of the eldest uncle of the Su family had always tolerated her husband, because she had always blamed herself for not being able to give him a son. Hence, deep down she knew that her husband had gone out to look for mistresses. She had caused a ruckus in the past, but her husband had restrained himself. That was why she had turned a blind eye to it all these years as long as it was not too much. She was surprised to meet Mama Su today. While the 2 families usually met, there were not many chances for a private meeting like this. Eldest sister, sister-in-law, what are you doing? Mama Su sat down looking confused. Of course, she was aware that her brother had suspended her husband from his duties. I'm here today to show you 2 things. With that, Mama Su handed the 2 reports to her eldest sister-in-law. Mama Su had a bad feeling when she saw the yellow paper bag, which was why she was very hesitant when she took it. Sister-in-law, could you be asking me to betray my husband? Your brother might be a little overboard, but he wouldn't go so far as to. You'll know when you see it, eldest sister. Mama Su said quietly. Sui Hong nodded and mustered her courage to open the yellow paper bag before throwing it aside. What's this? She was so excited that she rose to her feet. Sui Hong, the eldest son of my family, isn't actually my child with one Hong, but eldest brother and his mistress. That's impossible. Although he has a mistress, he doesn't have any children. I'm sure of that. Sister-in-law, there's proof in the hospital. When I gave birth to eldest brother was with that woman and gave birth in the hospital as well. In order to seize power, he did everything he could to replace my eldest brother. It's a pity that my real son died when he was only a few years old. Mama Su's tears streamed down her face when she said that. The eldest Su sister-in-law stared at Mama Su in shock, clearly unwilling to accept the truth. However, the Su family had always doted on Sui Hong, and since Mama Su had come to her, there was nothing more to be said about the matter. Hence, she sat down again, although she appeared rather dazed and unable to accept it. That bastard. Eldest sister-in-law, this is not the only evil that my eldest brother has done. You know that I've just found my 3rd child, but do you know who lost my 3rd child? Mrs. Su knew very well that Mama Su had almost gone mad searching for Jing Yun over the years. If this matter was also done by that bastard, the few of us are really blind. What do you want me to do? No, I'll tell sister-in-law to continue. After all, what if you still want this family? The eldest Su sister-in-law promptly slapped the table and rose to her feet. I've endured it for so many years for my daughter. I would have divorced him if I knew that the bastard had a son outside. Do you think I care about this marriage? What family? He's never cared about me or my daughter over the years, and I was just wondering. So he had a son in the first place. And here I was thinking that I owed him something. What do you people plan to do? There was nothing more delightful than being united against a common enemy. You just have to take back what you deserve and not mistreat yourself and your niece. That's all. I want to divorce him. Otherwise, sooner or later, everything he has will belong to that bastard. Don't even think about it. Sister-in-law, you and second brother don't need to feel any guilt. Just based on what that bastard did, he should have been struck by lightning long ago and broken up with his family. This sister-in-law was a sensible woman. That was why Papa Su was assured to tell her about the matter. If you've really thought it through, please listen to us. Before Papa Su could sue the eldest uncle for fraud, they should divorce him and take half of his assets. Otherwise it would be too late when his assets were frozen. I don't know if you need it, but I still have evidence of his extramarital affairs. I don't know if I've taken pictures of the mistress who gave birth to his child. There's also evidence of him taking bribes from the shareholders. Really? Meanwhile, the shareholders had taken their seats in the meeting room of Su Holdings. Of course, the eldest uncle and Su Yihong, who had been suspended, were not present. Still, those two had been waiting in the dark. If Papa Su dared to act recklessly, they would not sit still and wait for death. Jing Yun was standing outside the meeting room. In truth, he was not as calm as he appeared to be. After all, he was aware that every shareholder here was connected to their own interests. If Su Yihong had given them enough benefits, Papa Su would not have an easy time holding the board meeting. Chairman Su, hurry up and say what's on your mind. Everyone's time is also very precious. Papa Su found it difficult to speak even as he held the report. Still, after some thought, he said, "The Su family has produced two good actors. While it's a family scandal that shouldn't be aired in public, I have to say it since it concerns the very foundation of Su Holdings. Su Yihong isn't my biological son, which is why I've left the matter to my lawyer. His shares and the latest projects of Su Holdings are to be frozen. The shareholders were half aware at that. Chief Su, whose is he if he isn't your son? Chairman Su, you have to make it clear to everyone. Su Yihong is the child of my eldest brother and his mistress. He swapped his own son with my own in order to seize power, and that's why he ended up like this today." Papa Su explained. "I see. To think that something like that actually happened." The shareholders appeared to have their doubts cleared and their desire for gossip satisfied. That was when someone voiced an objection. "But the version I know isn't like that." Chapter 387. The version I know is that you knew that your child was sick, and so begged your eldest brother to swap the child, because you said that you were afraid that your wife wouldn't be able to take the blow. Your kind elder brother decided to sacrifice himself for you and let you adopt his child. However, he didn't expect that today because of your own suspicions. Not only did you remove him and his son from their positions, but you also accused him of deceiving you? Everyone fell into deep thought at those words. That explanation did not seem wrong. "Why do you seem to know more about my family than I do, Director Wen?" Papa Su asked calmly in return. "Could you be a parasite in our stomachs? Your eldest brother and I have always been close, and he would naturally tell me everything about you. What's so strange about that?" Director Wen sneered. "All these years, Yihong has made great contributions to Su Enterprise. Is it because you found third brother or because you're suspicious of Yihong that's why you're putting on this show? Am I right? How could I abandon my own son?" Papa Su roared. "What did that father and son offer you? Whatever it is, you have to listen to the person in question to know." With that, Director Wen rose from his chair and went to fetch Su Yihong and his son, who had been waiting downstairs. Jing Yun knew that the father and son were up to something again when he saw them, and couldn't help worrying about Papa Su's situation. Meanwhile, Su Yihong told Jing Yun as he walked past him, "You're just a dog even if you've been with Xing Xiao for a long time. I think the Sheng family wasn't wrong to call you that." Jing Yun said nothing and watched as the father and son entered the room. The other directors watched as the father and son appeared, readying themselves to watch the show. "Wen Hong, I really didn't think that you would really treat me like this. You weren't like this when you begged me to give you my child. Father and son, we worked so hard for Su Holdings, but you trampled us like this today. How could you let me down like this? Everyone here, please be the judge. I'm the eldest brother and I gave my own flesh and blood to stabilize his family, but what about him? Today they actually slandered me for cheating. If it were you, wouldn't you be disappointed?" Papa Su remained calm even as he watched them act. "Leaving everything else aside, you're acknowledging that you're father and son, right?" Papa Su asked, getting to the point. "We are father and son. Didn't you already know that? Ever since Yihong was born you knew. Then what illness did my own son have when he was born?" Papa Su pressed. "Leukemia." Papa Su chuckled at those words. "That's to prevent you and your father from making things up. That's why I found all the information about my wife's childbirth. My child was healthy and signed by the doctor when he was born. I don't know where your leukemia came from. Of course you won't admit it. Besides, you can totally fabricate evidence. Wenhong, how have I not treated you well? 2 days ago I even broke my finger for your third brother. Why do you have to trample on me like this? The shareholders in the audience all shook their heads after hearing the two men's words. Everyone seemed real and everyone seemed fake. Since you're so heartless, I wouldn't keep tolerating you, would I? Since you want to chase us out of Su Holdings, I'm going to fire you as chairman. Shareholders, what do you think of my suggestion? Everyone has seen Yihong's achievements in Su Holdings over the years, but Su Wenhong has done nothing and missed the most important opportunity for Su Holdings to rise. Don't forget that Yihong now holds the most advanced research of Su Holdings. How many years of blood, sweat, and tears did he put into it? Who else would Su Holdings' future be passed to if not him? Many of the shareholders nodded at that. More importantly, they were being coerced by Su Yihong's projects. That was also eldest Uncle Su's intention. Is that so? There would be no new projects without Yihong? There would be no new projects without Yihong? That's the funniest joke I've ever heard. A project's development is a team success, and I really couldn't tell that he could achieve such greatness alone? Papa Su retorted. Looks like you won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. You said that you'd get a lawyer to handle this matter, but I did too. I'd like to see if you could take it if that incident all those years ago was exposed. Eldest Uncle Su said viciously. Since all the shareholders are here, let's settle this today. Let's vote to fire Su Wenhong. The pair of father and son had really underestimated how disgusting they could be. Had the shareholders really fallen for their tricks and decided to take a stand? Perhaps Jing Yun, who was standing by the door, couldn't bear to listen anymore. Hence, he promptly opened the door to the meeting room and faced all the shareholders. Third young Master Su, you're not a member of the board. What are you doing? Director Wen immediately expressed his disgust. I'm laughing, Director Wen. You don't know how to judge the situation. Jing Yun replied. First of all, the shareholders' right to vote is based on the director not carrying out his duty. This is the first time I've heard of a shareholder using family matters as an excuse to remove a chairman. Could it be that your common interest isn't to earn more money, but to see my father fall from power? Second, you should know that my father holds 42% of the voting rights. Are you really going to offend him for Su Wentao and his son? Third, regardless of how Su Yihong became my eldest brother, the police would naturally investigate the matter. I'd advise everyone to be rational and not be used as a tool. Fourth, once the police file the case, it means that all the resources Su Yihong enjoyed because of my father would be frozen. Are you sure you want to support someone who would soon lose everything? Is it worth such a huge risk? The shareholders were troubled once again at Jing Yun's words. You have no right to speak here. Get out. Su Yihong barked at Jing Yun. Who do you think you are in Su Holdings? And who do you think you are? A loud shout suddenly came from the entrance, attracting everyone's attention. Mama Su had arrived at Su Holdings' meeting room with her eldest sister-in-law. Meanwhile, Su Wentao promptly felt guilty when he saw his wife. He had to admit that he hadn't settled things with his wife yet. But he didn't expect Papa Su to beat him to it. Honey, why are you here? We were just talking about back then. Chapter 388. Honey, you can't say that. Yihong is my child after all. That's right, he is your child? Su Wentao's wife's eyes were misty with tears. And it is precisely because he is your child that we are divorcing. I will hand over the evidence of your adultery with another woman to the police, and you will be kicked out of the family with nothing. Honey, by the way, which one of your shareholders has the surname Wen? I have proof of what you and my husband have done. Did you accept his bribe to frame my brother's family? Everyone was taken aback at those words. It turned out that this director Wen had accepted a bribe from the eldest uncle of the Su family. No wonder he was so eager to drag Papa Su off his high horse. And Su Yihong, that bastard. Did you think that Wentao doesn't care about bloodline and wants anyone? How dare a son of a whore fight for the Su family's property? Do you think it's your turn? Su Yihong's face reddened at that. Su Yihong's assets will definitely be frozen if Wentao files a lawsuit. He's a fraud suspect after all, and Su Wentao's assets will be divided when I divorce him. Are you all out of your minds trying to prop him up? When the directors heard this, they immediately felt bored. They said, if we had known this was a family matter, we wouldn't have had to come here. Let's go. You can settle your family matters yourselves. Su Wentao couldn't help narrowing his eyes at that. That whore was ruining his plans at a time like this. The board of directors dispersed, leaving only the Su family in the meeting room, looking at each other in dismay. That was when Su Wentao's wife spoke again. Don't doubt it. Wen Tao's family and I are on the same side, and we won't rest until you and your father are ruined. Don't forget that the new project is still in my hands. Sui Hong threatened. That. Jing Yun answered Sui Hong. I happen to know some friends and I told the relevant departments that the project is a huge security risk. So the higher-ups ordered us to stop. Sui Hong's face fell at those words. You really are a family. Nice move. Still not admitting that you abandoned me back then? Sui Hong smiled smugly. What? Do you want to thank me for letting you be a dog for the Sheng family for so many years? Jing Yun then walked to Sui Hong's side and told him softly, I'll let you know what it's like to be a dog for the rest of your life. Ah. I'm afraid you won't have the chance. Let me tell your Su family a secret. I still have a bomb in Su Holdings. It's still uncertain who will win. You mean, finance department? Yao Yao? Jing Yun asked Sui Hong in return. You really have it easy. Not only did you let someone be your bed partner for years, you even had them help you with falsifying accounts and money laundering. I thought you could really hold the power and marry her. This time, Sui Hong really could not smile anymore. He did not expect Jing Yun to investigate the finance department so quickly. Do you know which department of Huang Yao I first entered when I was a dog of the Sheng family? It's the finance department you love so much. There are losses, but the law can recover them, and if you don't return the money on your own, you won't have the chance to fight for a reduced sentence. Sui Hong stumbled a few steps back at Jing Yun's words. That was when Su Wentao tugged at Jing Yun and said, Let's go. Don't listen to their nonsense. That's right. There's no need to meet in the future. You'll meet the lawyer directly. Papa Su and Mama Su shared a look but said nothing. It was only after Sui Hong and his son left that they asked Jing Yun, How did you find out about the trader in finance so quickly? Where would I have the time to do that? It's just that the lawyer reminded me to clean up Su Holdings' accounts this morning. That's why I took a look, and there were only 3 female employees in the finance department. One was married, the other was pregnant, and the most likely one was Yao Yao, who had always been single. That's why I tricked him. Men are the easiest to clash with for profit, but women are different. Give them love and they would do anything. Papa Su chuckled at that. You're certainly quick-witted. Although we've gotten rid of those 2, it would take a long time to clean up the mess. You might have to work hard for a while, father. We'll think of a way to resume the project when this is over. Papa Su clapped Jing Yun on the shoulder and nodded. Help out with your mother and eldest aunt in the aftermath? Or I'm afraid that father and son would do something to harm them. I understand. Just like that, a chaotic day passed. Even so, the father and son were only chased out of Su Holdings without any other punishment for the time being. Moreover, they might even flee Jianchuan to a faraway land. That was why he had to think of a way to completely cripple them. Sheng Minglan was beside herself with worry after the incident. Still, she was relieved after hearing Jing Yun's call. At long last, the storm was over. That night, Jing Yun moved back to the Su residence from Jing Ting, and made a special call before he left. It's been dealt with, so I'm bringing Minglan and mother home. Sorry for the trouble, young master. That Sui Hong is still healthy. How is that dealt with? Xing Xiao asked in return. There are some things that must be done and some people won't be grateful just because you let them go. I understand. That was why Jing Yun made a few calls when Xing Minglan was showering after returning to the Su residence. When Sheng Minglan came out of the shower, Jing Yun was staring blankly at her. Sheng Minglan was sitting on his lap, her sweet scent wafting through the air as she asked, You haven't slept well over the last few days because of Su Holdings. Take a good bath tonight and have a good night's sleep. Jing Yun couldn't help hugging Sheng Minglan before sighing tiredly. I might have to do something you hate. Sheng Minglan stroked his head and said reassuringly, I know you're talking about Sui Hong. Just do it. Their eyes met in the darkness and Jing Yun couldn't help kissing her softly. Still, how could that kiss satisfy the 2 of them who hadn't had a good time over the last few days? In the depth of their love, how would they survive the long night if they didn't linger? Soon, the news that Sui Hong and Su Wentao were father and son spread throughout Su Holdings, and Jing Yun's performance at the board meeting won the admiration of his subordinates. Chapter 389. But now, the Crown Prince's path was a little strange. He had actually given up a vast diamond empire like Huang Yao for Mu Qiqi, abandoning his status as the Crown Prince. Was it all for a love affair? What kind of woman could he not have with such wealth? One could imagine how frightening the charm of the little bride of the Sheng family was. Over the last few days, Old Xing did as promised and did not bother Xing Xiao or the Shen family. After all, he was having second brother prepare a grand birthday banquet for him, first to announce Gu Ziling's identity, and second to celebrate eighth brother's return. The Sheng family was bustling about for Xing Zhao's sake, which made the others more or less uncomfortable. After all, he was the one who wanted to leave the Sheng family and no one forced him. But now the entire Xing family revolved around him. What kind of logic was that? Be that as it may, the Sheng family was in turmoil, but the person in question was living comfortably at the Shen family. Since the people he dealt with had changed, Xing Xiao became even more discreet. In other words, he was becoming more black-bellied. Before, he would beat you up on the surface, but now he would ignore you on the surface and beat you up behind your back. Of course, Mu Qiqi was still fascinated by Xing Xiao no matter what he was. During dinner at the Shen's house, Grandpa Shen stole a few glances at Xing Xiao while holding his bowl and chopsticks. Then he said, "I had a chat with a few comrades today and they talked about you. The son-in-law of the Shen family is really bold. You've just established Zhongting and you've already secured several important resources. Xing Xiao, you may be outstanding, but you should know that in this circle the bird that sticks out gets shot. There's nothing wrong with being discreet." Xing Xiao looked at his formal attire, and then at his cheer innocently, who quickly put down her chopsticks and told the old man, "Grandpa, I can testify that Xiao Xiao is discreet enough. Look, he's even ditching his flashy sports car." The entire family snickered. Now that the Shen family is in the limelight, it's inevitable that someone would try to get hold of us. Grandpa, as long as we act honorably, anyone who dares to challenge my authority can come at us openly or in the shadows. Old Shen did not know much about business, but he could tell from Xing Zhao's expression that the child was a natural genius in that regard. You have to remember what you said today. Otherwise, if you are in trouble in the future, the old man will ignore you. When the matter with the Sheng family is settled, I'll bring cheer back to Jing Ting. Brat, are you complaining that I talk too much? The others smiled again. Although Xing Xiao was staying with the Shen family, he did not put any pressure on the Shen family. What Huang Yu appreciated the most was that Xing Xiao did not have the weird habit of being difficult to serve like the other young masters. Other than being particular about Mu Qiqi's affairs, he was not picky about other things. He had his own requirements, but he would never make things difficult for others. After dinner, Xing Xiao was working in the study, while Mu Qiqi was looking for medical books in his shirt. Jing Yun has settled the matter with the Su family. Really? Mu Qiqi stopped what she was doing and turned to look at him. He was originally supposed to be sitting on the sofa, but before she knew it, he had already walked over to her side. He pressed her against the wall and lifted her chin. "Are you trying to seduce me?" "I just like your scent on my shirt," Mu Qiqi explained. "Such a clingy little thing." With that, Xing Xiao kissed her. "Looks like it's going to be hard to work today. You still haven't told me how you settled the matter with the Su family. Let's go to bed. We'll talk as we do it." Mu Qiqi could not help struggling. How could she have the ability to think when that happened? The man really felt uncomfortable every day he did not touch her. Meanwhile, the Sheng family had become a little livelier because of the old man's birthday celebration. Even so, Gu Ziling was still a little out of place with the rest of the Sheng family. There was a proud and aloof side to her, which was the conclusion second brother had come to after observing her for some time. "Are you unhappy because my mother didn't take good care of you?" Gu Ziling was drinking alone in the Xing residence's garden when she turned to second brother and explained, "No, Auntie is taking good care of him, but I realized that the Xing family and the Gu family aren't that much better. I heard that the crown prince always has his own residence and never stays with the Sheng family, right? He's used to being free and doesn't like being restrained." Second brother replied. Incidentally, it was what she liked. Although she had agreed to the marriage with the Sheng family, she did not want to live in the cage that was the Sheng family. If she could come to an agreement with Xing Xiao, she could move out for real. "I heard that the young bride of the Sheng family is a forensic student at Shengting University." "Yes. That's what Grandpa is most displeased about." Second brother smiled. "Still, I admire Mu Qiqi's persistence in not changing herself for anyone. Since I can't meet the crown prince in private, could you let me meet Mu Qiqi, second brother? I want to see what kind of girl the crown prince likes." Second brother studied her body for a moment before answering, "You're very beautiful. You don't have to please eighth brother." She was just trying to increase her bargaining chips. "I'm just feeling too stuffy and want to go out for some fresh air." "All right," second brother replied. It was certainly difficult to meet Xing Xiao, but he still had some ways to meet Mu Qiqi. I hope Grandpa wouldn't blame me for making the decision on my own when he finds out. Still, I heard that Xiaoqi is working as an assistant in the forensics lab, which is why the place I would meet her might not be that clean. It's fine. Gu Xiling insisted. All right. I'll let you know when I've made the arrangements. Thank you, second brother. Gu Xiling thanked second brother, naturally with a respectful tone. Second brother smiled but said nothing else. Rest early. I still have to fetch third brother from the airport. Go ahead. Gu Xiling nodded. Mu Qiqi had been out with the professor over the last few days, which was why she was not just at the forensics lab. Second brother only had to ask around to find out where Mu Qiqi was. This time, someone had found the highly decomposed corpse by the roadside of a highway in the suburbs and called the police. To give Mu Qiqi more training, the professor had brought her to the scene for a preliminary autopsy. Right now, Mu Qiqi insisted on not wearing a mask, since forensics could determine many things others did not know through smell. Even so, the scene was really stinky. Chapter 390. Mu Qiqi promptly stepped forward, wearing white gloves to observe and touch the corpse. There are obvious blunt force wounds on the left side of the head. There are shards of bricks in the wound, and based on the shape of the wound, the murder weapon is a soft stone or brick. There isn't much bleeding. Although the face is pale and the neck groove is obvious, there are no signs of struggle or defense. We can't rule out the possibility of death by hanging after death. Moreover, there are many contusions on the body. We can't determine what tool was used to cause these injuries, and there are no signs of violation. Either way, none of the injuries on the body are fatal, which is why the cause of death has to be further examined. Moreover, the scene is very clean and there are no signs of dragging. This is probably not a crime scene but a place where the body was dumped. That is why we can only get more information from the corpse after further tests. After reading it, the professor nodded and ordered the others to come forward. The other experienced forensic doctors came to a similar conclusion as Mu Qiqi. You're becoming more and more like a forensic doctor. The professor was pleased. You're a quick learner. That's because you've taught me well. Mu Qiqi quickly said. It was also because of this female corpse that Mu Qiqi and the forensics team were searching for useful information at the scene. Meanwhile, Gu Xiling had parked her sports car not far away, pretending to be an onlooker and seeing Mu Qiqi in her white coat. Naturally, she did not miss the part where Mu Qiqi examined the corpse. Still, the corpse was already so disgusting, and yet a girl like her could touch it without batting an eyelid. That alone showed that this girl was not someone ordinary men could control. As expected of a crown prince. Young ladies of noble families and socialites might sound elegant, but they were all soulless porcelain dolls. They were all the same and there was nothing new in comparing family and wealth. But Mu Qiqi was clearly different. That girl is the original bride of the Sheng family. Didn't the two families break off the engagement? The Sheng family probably can't accept a daughter-in-law working with a dead person. Still, she's only 19. She's really capable. Gu Xiling drove away after hearing the comments about Mu Qiqi. She did not intend to disturb Mu Qiqi. Gu Xiling became even more curious about Sheng Xiao because of Mu Qiqi. The crown prince of the Sheng family must not be any ordinary person to have taken a liking to such an interesting and real soul. There was no way Mu Qiqi would know that Gu Xiling had visited her. It was only when she returned to the bureau that she received the news that the victim was likely a young lady from an aristocratic family in Jianshuan. Although she really wanted to see the professor's autopsy to know the real cause of death and the identity of the corpse, she was really busy today. You have to pay special attention too. It's really not safe for girls to go out these days. Junior sister, find some time to learn taekwondo or boxing. Mu Qiqi smiled after hearing the senior's suggestion. I appreciate your kindness but I really don't need it. Apart from visiting the forensics lab, she rarely went out alone. Xiao Xiao was always by her side. However, after seeing more cases recently, she also understood that in this world, the living were far more terrifying than the dead. For example, a female university student was killed by a taxi driver a few days ago. Mu Qiqi simply could not understand why a girl would sit in the front passenger seat even if she was hailing a taxi. Most girls nowadays did not have that kind of awareness. Soon, the corpse's identity was ascertained. It turned out to be the daughter of one of Huang Yao's business partners. The real cause of death was the rupture of the organs in her abdomen, caused by those contusions. The matter soon spread among the nobles. Naturally, they would spread the fact that a certain person's daughter was gone just like that, and that it was Mu Qiqi who performed the autopsy on her. When old Master Sheng heard about it, he felt very upset. The thought of Muchichi doing such unlucky things and having to deal with corpses every day was revolting. How could he like her? In comparison, the young lady of the Gu family had the air of a true rich young lady. Breaking off the engagement with the Shun family is the best thing I've done. If this goes on, I don't know if I could hold it until my birthday. Second brother was helpless at the old man's huge reaction. It was probably because the older generation would find it hard to accept Muchichi's occupation. Old Shin heard the rumors as well, but his opinion differed from old Sheng's. After all, he only felt sorry for a girl like Muchichi, doing things that no man could do. Since Muchichi was adapting well, he was instead proud of his granddaughter after hearing the rumors outside. Before, he had thought that it did not matter if old Sheng liked her, and now, he had even less reason to be wary of him. Still, the matter was spreading like wildfire. What do you think of Muchichi after visiting her? Second brother could not help asking Gu Xiling in his free time. She seemed to have hidden herself even deeper after arranging for her to meet Muchichi. She doesn't seem to win against me in terms of posture, manners, or family background. But she's too special. Gu Xiling answered second brother after some thought. Would you grant them their wish just because of that? No one has ever granted me that wish. Moreover, it was not something she could decide. Perhaps I would have an answer when I meet the crown prince. In second brother's eyes, Gu Xiling was elegant and a little solitary, and would definitely not be happy if she really married eighth brother. Before this, everyone had been guessing what kind of woman Xing Xiao would like, but they only realized after Muchichi appeared that Xing Xiao himself could not understand his own preferences. Second brother assumed that Gu Xiling would not try to win him over so easily, since Xing Xiao and Muchichi were too close. However, after meeting Muchichi, Gu Xiling entered old Sheng's study and told him, "Didn't you ask me who I like to be my husband, Grandpa Sheng?" Old Sheng stared at Gu Xiling, guessing that the child had really taken a liking to second brother. After all, she had made up her mind without even meeting eighth brother. If that was not favoring second brother, what was it? I want to know when the crown prince would return. Old Sheng was taken aback at that but relaxed. After all, Gu Xiling was prepared for eighth brother. Chapter 391. Alright. Since the crown prince has decided to return to the Sheng family, I'll tell my parents that I've chosen that man. Gu Xiling replied, looking at the old man. No, Xiling. I'm confused. You've been interacting more with second brother these days. Why? I'll only choose the strongest man. Gu Xiling answered matter-of-factly. If Xing Xiao returned to the Sheng family, it meant that he had given up on Muchichi. And since he had given up on her, she did not have to pity her. After all, Muchichi was so young that she could find any man she wanted. On the other hand, if she was not the young master of the Sheng family, she would find a man from another family. As such, it was better for her to choose a man who would never love her. That way she would be free and relaxed. Then I'll announce on that day that the two of you are engaged. Thank you, Grandpa Sheng. If Xing Xiao wanted to keep seeing Muchichi or have children with her, she would treat them as her own. However, she would not give up her safe haven so easily. Even so, why should Muchichi give way to her? Even ordinary women had the right to pursue happiness. What more when Muchichi was the young lady of the great Shen family? The two's plan was a little too brilliant. Outside, second brother and third brother heard their conversation in the study. Second brother's hand, which had been holding the documents, dropped and passed it to third brother. Give these to Grandpa. Second brother. Third brother caught up to second brother. Tell me the truth. Do you like Miss Gu? No matter what my feelings are, Miss Gu has made her choice. Isn't that right, Grandpa? Gu Xiling's declaration that she would only choose the strongest man was like a sharp blade stabbing into second brother's heart. Third brother couldn't bear it and kept chasing after him. Ever since he was young, the one who understands eighth brother the most is not eldest aunt, not grandfather, and definitely not you. It's me. Do you think eighth brother would come back? That has nothing to do with me. With that, second brother promptly left, striding like a shooting star. Third brother took a deep breath, feeling indignant for second brother. Could grandfather not see how hard second brother had worked to maintain the stability of the Sheng family after eighth brother left? However, the position of the heir and Miss Gu's marriage were all prepared for Xing Xiao, which was unfair. Hence, third brother called Xing Xiao. Eighth brother, it's third brother. I want to see you. Xing Xiao smirked. It seemed that his third brother was here to deliver a message. Tell me the place, I'll come find you. Are you still living in the Shin family? He was a live-in son-in-law. If he did not live in the Shin family, where would he live? Forget it, 8 o'clock tonight, Empire Hotel. Let me make it clear first. I'm broke and I bring my family here to freeload. Whatever. Third brother's temper was not as steady as second brother's. He was a little impatient, but he had a sense of justice. Right now the Sheng family was counting on those two. At 7:30, third brother could not help being stunned when he saw Muchichi at the hotel. Even if you're down and out now, you don't have to be so discreet, do you? You've never worn such formal clothes before. Have you changed? Sheng Xiao pulled out a chair for Muchichi to take a seat before introducing, "This is third brother. And this is Muchichi. Alright, I'm getting calluses in my ears because of what happened to you." Third brother sighed helplessly. "But did you know, eighth brother? Even if you're like this, grandfather would still leave you with the position of heir to the Sheng family and—" Sheng Xiao glanced at Xiaoqiu at that before answering third brother, "Because he knows very well that I could make Huang Yao grow to its greatest height in the shortest time possible. And you're still thinking about the Gu family's marriage, aren't you? What do you mean he's giving me the best if it's not what I want? I'm just a tool for him and he only wants Huang Yao. I just want to know, will you come back for grandfather's birthday? That Miss Gu is staying in our house, and second brother and I heard with our own eyes that she chose you. That's why grandfather is planning to settle the marriage between you and Miss Gu during the birthday celebration. What do you think?" Sheng Xiao laughed heartily at those words. "I only said that I would give him an explanation. When did I say that I'm going back to the Sheng family? Don't I know you? Why would grandfather think that if you didn't deliberately lead him?" Sheng Xiao looked at the red wine in front of him and took a sip elegantly, before continuing with a smile. "Well, let him think so. What are you going to do? Although second brother doesn't say it, I can feel that he's already upset, and he seems to like that Miss Gu. I have nothing to tell you now, but there's one thing I'm sure of. I'll never step through the gates of the Sheng family for the rest of my life." "Even if it's like this with nothing?" "Yes, even if it's like this with nothing. If you really care for second brother, don't mention a word about our meeting today to the Sheng family, and act as if you don't know anything." That was what third brother had guessed. "I didn't know that you hate grandfather so much." "Yes. So much that I don't want to hear about him for the rest of my life. That said, I've heard a lot about you recently. Didn't you perform a ritual on that poor business partner's daughter?" The old man's face darkened when he heard about it. "I've never seen him look so terrible." Third brother teased. "You two treasures, you've tortured me so much. Since you're sure that you won't return to the Sheng family, I'll do everything I can to help second brother and set him up with Miss Gu." "Good luck," Sheng Xiao said calmly. "Don't make too much of a fuss on grandfather's birthday since you're getting old. Could he flaunt his seniority just because he was old? As for that Miss Gu, she could not get what she wanted. Why would she want to tear others apart? Could it be that she couldn't see others happy just because she was unlucky? That said, could you show me your knife skills, little sister-in-law?" Third brother deeply admired those callous professions. "I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to eat if I really cut it." Muchichi joked. "I'll do my best to give you face." Muchichi snorted and nodded, at least fulfilling one of third brother's wishes. Chapter 392. Despite the old man's deep-rooted prejudice, third brother really admired a girl like Muchichi. After all, other socialites were studying the four arts, while she was thinking about how to dismember corpses. How cool was that? Whatever the case, third brother could not hate Muchichi. Perhaps because the two of them had something in common. They were naturally optimistic. The trio had a simple dinner that night, but before they left, third brother stuffed a gold card into Sheng Zhao's hand. "Even if you're willing to be a live-in son-in-law, don't let the Shen family bully you. Consider this a little treasury I'm giving you." Sheng Xiao raised a brow. Did he really take it seriously? "What you have isn't even enough for me to buy a season's worth of clothes for Qi. Eighth brother, can't you be a little more frugal now that you're in such dire straits?" Sheng Xiao smiled meaningfully and answered third brother, "Keep it for yourself. You could use it when you marry sister-in-law." "You're still complaining? You deserve to die of poverty. My temper really can't stand how prideful you are." Sheng Xiao clapped him on the shoulder nonchalantly. "Third brother really thinks of you as a brother if he knows to save you, and yet you're hitting him." On the way back, Muchichi could not help nagging at Sheng Xiao. "Xiao Xiao, it's quite pitiful that you're so poor now. What a reckless little thing." Her husband was not poor, all right? Though he had left Huang Yao, Zhongting had risen to prominence. Moreover, his supporters were no longer businessmen but people with status and were easy to get things done. At first, I thought that Miss Gu was quite pitiful because she was forced by her family. But now, I suddenly feel that there's something hateful about her too. What? Are you afraid that she'll steal your man? Do I have to give it to her if she does? Mu Chichi retorted matter-of-factly. Unless you don't want me anymore, anyone could try to steal you from me. Xing Xiao felt very pleased at that. He did not dote on her for nothing. Still, you really need to hurry up on your relationship with the Sheng family so that second brother can fully open his arms. What's the hurry? It's just 10 days. With those words, Xing Xiao sped home. As expected, third brother did not tell anyone about his meeting with Xing Xiao, including second brother whom he wanted to help. Since Xing Xiao had decided to cut ties with the Sheng family, he would definitely make a big move at Grandpa Sheng's birthday banquet to make Grandpa Sheng give up completely. Therefore he couldn't tell her, not even to his second brother. Be that as it may, third brother happened to run into the Gu family having dinner at home when he reached home. And judging from the Gu family's attitude, they must have come to confirm Gu Xiling and Xing Zhao's marriage. Just as eighth brother had said, the old master had been using him as a bargaining chip from the beginning to the end. Third bro, where have you been this late at night? You don't even know how to call for help. It's fine, old Xing. I'll leave Xiling's matter to you. I hope you can handle it well and don't let our Xiling suffer. Mama Gu told old Sheng. Don't worry, in-law. Now that Xiling has entered the Sheng family, she is the only granddaughter-in-law I'll acknowledge. But what if the crown prince doesn't come back? Don't worry. He has promised to give me an answer, and it's clear that he isn't used to living a life without power or influence. Think about it. Would a rich young master really lower himself to become a son-in-law of the Shen family? Or a member of the Shen family? Grandpa Sheng's answer was firm and without a hint of hesitation. He really didn't understand eighth brother. Third brother shook his head. Then he looked at second brother's expression. There was no change at all from beginning to end, and there was no telling how upset he must be. Eighth brother isn't the only one in the family. You should take care of us too, grandfather. The old man did a double take and glared at third brother. Third brother was nonchalant, but he especially noticed that the young lady of the Gu family was cold and conceited. He was starting to wonder if he should help his second brother matchmake the two of them. She clearly knew that eighth brother already had a lover, and yet she insisted on choosing him. There was no telling what she was thinking. That was why the young lady of the Gu family was nothing but trash before Xiaoqi. No matter how excellent she thought herself to be. There's only 10 days left. Just bear with it for now. 10 days was enough for eighth brother to stir up a lot of trouble. After dinner, third brother did not want second brother to suffer in the living room, and dragged him out. Don't you feel bad looking at that young lady of the Gu family? But I feel bad. I feel bad holding it in. She didn't offend you. Second brother, which part of you doesn't deserve her? Feelings can't be forced. Well, I'll take you out and introduce you to a few sensible ones. Third brother suggested. Second brother pushed him away and returned to his room. In truth, he knew very well that Gu Xiling was a proud and aloof person, but there were many factors that combined to push him into a dead end. 10 days was it? When eighth brother returned, he could leave the country again. When that happens, he would no longer have to care about the Sheng family, nor would he have to work so hard without anyone seeing or being grateful. Perhaps, in the eyes of the Sheng family, Xing Xiao really had nothing now. Late at night, Grandpa Sheng called Mama Sheng and asked her to come home with him, so that she could truly witness her son's happiness. Mama Sheng was displeased at that. Could eighth brother be breaking up with Mu Chichi because he couldn't handle the pressure? Father, that young lady of the Gu family is the daughter-in-law you'd like, not us. I don't think we should come back and spoil your mood. You really don't know what's good for you. The old man hung up angrily. Could it be that his daughter-in-law was still thinking about Mu Chichi? What kind of spell had Mu Chichi fed her? Unable to figure it out, Mama Sheng promptly called Xing Xiao for confirmation. I heard that you're getting engaged to the young lady of the Gu family again? Did the old man say that? Xing Xiao asked innocently. He wouldn't have told me if he wasn't sure, so that I could come back and witness your true happiness. Mom, you could definitely come back for the old man's birthday banquet in 10 days. It was clear from her son's words that there was something else going on. I won't forgive you for the rest of my life if you let Xiaoqi down. Xing Xiao frowned slightly at that and turned to look at the little one lying on the bed. Who was the biological one here? Xiao Xiao, what are you mumbling about? Time to sleep. Mu Chichi murmured with her eyes closed as if she could hear Xing Xiao talking on the phone. Xing Xiao's heart softened at that. Chapter 393. Everything related to the Su family would go through the legal process. Meanwhile, Su Yihong and his father were sued by Papa Su for fraud. Still, Jing Yun did not do anything to Su Yihong before he was taken into custody, and merely had someone keep an eye on him to prevent the father and son from escaping. Surprisingly, however, Su Yihong did not try to escape. Perhaps he knew that he could not escape even if he had wings. Still, he refused to answer any of the police's questions in the detention center, unless he could see Jing Yun. I wonder what he wants from you. Is he up to something? Xing Minglan was a little worried. He can't do anything in the police station. Don't worry, I'll be back soon. Jing Yun assured her. Xing Minglan nodded but still reminded him, be careful. Jing Yun had assumed that Su Yihong would struggle over the matter since there was still room for it. Even if he did not struggle, he would still try to escape. And yet, he stayed willingly? Jing Yun was puzzled until he saw Su Yihong in the detention center. Shackled and with his head lowered, Su Yihong smiled when he saw Jing Yun. It's good to see you again. Tell me why you would risk your life to see me. Jing Yun cut to the chase, not wanting to waste time on Su Yihong. I shouldn't have been so soft-hearted and abandoned you. Su Yihong kept smiling but soon started crying again. If I had cut the weeds and cut the roots, none of this would have happened. If that's all you want to tell me, I'm leaving. Yao Yao is pregnant, my child. If you could save the child, I would willingly tell you everything I've done over the years. Su Yihong said to Jing Yun's back. Although I've been using Yao Yao all along, it's only when I've truly fallen that I realized that only that foolish woman would do anything for me. She wants to give birth to the child, which is why I need your help. Help you raise the child so that he could take revenge on me? Jing Yun turned and asked Su Yihong in return. Don't let him know that he has a father like me. I could pay for your real brother's death with my own mother's abuse. Jing Yun had already guessed that. I will save the child, but don't forget your promise. As long as the child is born, you will get what you want. Jing Yun didn't say anything else. He didn't want Su Yihong to die either. He just wanted Su Yihong to live a life worse than death. And, let the police come in. Jing Yun did not expect Su Yihong to have a shred of humanity left in him. Of course, Jing Yun wouldn't believe Su Yihong's words so easily. Naturally, he would carry out multiple investigations to ascertain the truth. He could ensure the birth of Su Yihong's child, but he would never provide it with a privileged life. Several days passed in a short period of time. Old Sheng's birthday banquet was just around the corner. To ensure that nothing would happen to Xing Xiao, Old Sheng called Xing Xiao 2 days before the birthday banquet. It was a reminder to him. You haven't forgotten our promise, have you? Have you settled your personal affairs? Of course not, Xing Xiao replied. That's good. Grandpa will wait for you. Xing Xiao said nothing else and simply hung up. He had arranged to play golf with Secretary He today, which was why he was at the golf course at the moment. Secretary He chuckled when he saw that Xing Xiao had finished his private call. I heard that something big is going to happen to the Sheng family in 2 days. Shouldn't you return as the heir? I've heard about it too, Secretary He. Xing Xiao smiled and stood beside Secretary He. Xing Xiao, you are now half an insider. There are many things you need to learn to keep a low profile. Since you are the CEO of Zhongting, why would you care about being the heir of Huang Yao? Am I right? You really do have a pair of sharp eyes, Secretary He. Young man, how could I not know what you're working so hard for? It's only when your life is in your own hands that you wouldn't have lived in vain. Take care of the Sheng family well and don't make it too ugly. Xing Xiao smiled nonchalantly. On the day before Old Sheng's birthday banquet, Gu Xiling suddenly suggested to the old man, since the crown prince would be there tomorrow anyway, why don't we have him return to the Sheng family tonight? That way I could get to know him better and it wouldn't be too awkward for you, Grandpa Sheng. Old Sheng thought that Gu Xiling's suggestion was not wrong. Since he was going home anyway, what did it matter if it was a day earlier or a day later? Grandpa, you seem to have forgotten that you've already removed 8th brother's room. 6th brother reminded the old man just in time, because he really did not want to see Xing Xiao return home. How could Grandpa not think of that, 6th brother? He has already restored 8th brother's room to its original state. 3rd brother retorted. That's why your worry is unnecessary. That's good. Since the whole family revolves around 8th brother, wouldn't the whole family be upset if he doesn't come home comfortably? Those words left a sour taste in 6th brother's mouth. Therefore, old Xing ignored him and told second brother, "You and third brother, go to the Shin's residence and bring eighth brother home." "I'll go, Grandpa. Second brother has things to do." Third brother said. "That works too. I'll go with you." Gu Xiling turned to third brother. "Miss Gu, don't. No one knows eighth brother's temper, and I wouldn't be able to explain if he doesn't come home when he sees you." Third brother said sarcastically, and strode out of the Xing family's living room. He did not like Gu Xiling, and it was not just in his face but in his words as well. And the reason third brother accepted the task was because he knew that eighth brother would never do as the old man wished. That was why he was going with a luxurious convoy, but he knew very well that eighth brother would not simply listen to his orders. The Shin family soon found third brother's convoy outside, and informed Huang Yu. At that, Huang Yu went to Mu Qiqi's room. "Eighth brother isn't home yet? He's playing golf with Secretary He. He's on the way home." "What's the matter, second aunt?" "The Sheng family has sent someone to fetch eighth brother, and the convoy is waiting outside. Do as you see fit." Huang Yu clapped Mu Qiqi on the shoulder. After all, tomorrow was a major event for the Sheng family. Chapter 394. "Got it, second aunt." Mu Qiqi nodded and rose to her feet. She went to the Shin's residence and greeted third brother when she found him leaning against the car door. "It's already so late. Still out on a mission? Is eighth brother around?" "He's not back yet," Mu Qiqi replied. "But he'll be back soon." "What, are you in a hurry to bring Xiao Xiao home tonight?" Third brother waved her off. Leaning against the car door with a bottle of red wine, he was enjoying himself. "How could I bring him away? Still, he's broke now. Why would he be out in the middle of the night?" Mu Qiqi couldn't help laughing at that. "What are you laughing at? Is Xiao Xiao really that lazy in third brother's eyes?" Mu Qiqi retorted. Third brother was puzzled and raised a brow at Mu Qiqi. Mu Qiqi did a double take before turning to third brother. "Have you heard of Zhongting, third brother?" Third brother thought about it and nodded. "I've heard of it. It's a newly established military company." "Then why do you still think that Xiao Xiao is broke?" Third brother did a double take at Mu Qiqi's words, and only pointed at her after a moment. "Did eighth brother set it up?" "To be precise, my father and Xiao Xiao did it together," third brother sneered as if understanding something. "No wonder eighth brother is so sure that he won't return to the Sheng family. He's actually setting up his own business, but keeping a low profile isn't his style." "Xiao Xiao said that you're trustworthy, third brother, which is why I'm not afraid to tell you. The business partners he's working with now aren't ordinary people, and they don't like him being in the limelight." Third brother was pleased with the first half of Mu Qiqi's words. He was very pleased that eighth brother found him trustworthy. Poor old Sheng. He wanted him to return and inherit Huang Yao, but he didn't expect that he wouldn't even care for what little Huang Yao has left. The old man even thought that eighth brother treasures his inheritance. Soon Su Che drove him back to the Shin's residence. When Xing Xiao saw that Chier was with third brother, he told Su Che to go home and went to them. "Are you having a drink in the Shin's territory? You're quite carefree." Third brother turned to Xing Xiao and smiled. "Eighth brother, you've hidden yourself too well. Now that the old man has sent me to fetch you, what do you think we should do?" Xing Xiao looked at Mu Qiqi. Seeing that she came out in a white sweater, he took off his coat and put it on her. "Go in if you're cold." "That's not necessary. I want to know what you plan to do tomorrow." Mu Qiqi looked at him and crossed her arms. "Is it necessary to hide it from me?" "It's not that I want to hide it from you. I just don't want you to see the faces of the Sheng family." Xing Xiao stroked her head. "Go in. My face is very good." Third brother couldn't help interrupting. "No, eighth brother, I think you should go back to the Sheng family tonight." "Do you know how much I want to see you reject Miss Gu? Second brother likes this woman, but she's trying her best to separate you and little sister-in-law." "Little sister-in-law, can you lend eighth brother to me tonight? I promise I'll return him in one piece tomorrow." "Look, I can't explain myself if eighth brother doesn't go back with me, right? I know you've said that you don't want to step foot into the Sheng family again. But if you leave the Sheng family for good, don't you want them to give up on you? I know you're worried about little sister-in-law. So bring her along." Mu Qiqi was stunned at that and pointed at her own nose. "I don't want to see the Sheng family." "You don't have to. You're coming with us and I'll hide you in eighth brother's room," third brother said. "Eighth brother, I know very well that you are the CEO of Zhongting now. You do what you have to do tomorrow. I'll just be in charge and make sure nothing goes wrong. What do you say? The old man would never hand over his burden to anyone else if you don't sever ties with him completely. Third brother was trying to move her emotionally and rationally, his words full of temptation. What do you think, Chia? The man was the most cunning of them all. He would always leave the decision to her. Are you sure we'll come out unscathed? Xing Xiao replied calmly, lowering his head to look at the watch on his wrist. Su Che has already made all the necessary arrangements, but since third brother is coming to fetch us, I'll have to bring forward the plan. Mu Chichi nodded. Since that's what you want to do, just do it. In fact, I also want to see how different Miss Gu is from ordinary people. Why talk so much then? Get in. In no time at all, old Xing received a call from third brother. Eighth brother was already on his way back. It seemed that he had really severed ties with the Shin family. He knew it. Why would the great crown prince of Huang Yao be willing to become a son-in-law who married into the Shin family? How could Xing Xiao tolerate that with his temper? Old Xing was so happy that he immediately told everyone the news. Eighth brother will be home in 20 minutes. Get ready. Old Six snorted coldly. He had thought that Old Three would return in defeat if he went to receive it. He did not expect that eighth brother would only have such a temper. Soon the car pulled into the Xing family's parking lot. Third brother told Mu Chichi, I'll have someone bring you to eighth brother's room right away. Change your clothes and pretend to be a servant. I'll arrange for you to stand far away if you want to watch the show, or wait in eighth brother's room if you don't want to. I'm just here to watch the show, Mu Chichi quickly said. Xing Xiao pinched his little one's nose. Did she really like watching him tear a bitch apart that much? Although helpless, Xing Xiao agreed to let his little one dress up. You'll be in charge of her safety. What's wrong with that? I'll come out after I go in with you to settle little sister-in-law down. Xing Xiao nodded and got out of the car. Still, he found the familiar house very strange. Old Xing wanted to use him, which was why he had pushed him to the highest position. But what about the others in the Sheng family? They looked one way in front of others and another behind the scenes. He was already tired of such a life. That was why he only wanted to create a future for his little one that no one would dare to offend. Go in. Third brother knew what Xing Xiao was thinking and so reminded him, this is the last time. Think of it as giving face to third brother, I won't mention your identity to anyone else. Meanwhile, old Xing had led the Sheng family to the door to welcome them. Eighth brother, you finally know to come home. Chapter 395. But before sixth brother could say anything, Xing Xiao strode into the Xing family's living room as usual. Mu Chichi had seen everything from inside the car, and finally understood why Xing Xiao insisted on leaving the Xing family. Although he appeared to be the crown prince of the Xing family, none of the Xing family members around him were sincere. They relied on him, used him, mocked him, and even schemed against him. Everyone knew that Xing Xiao was powerful, but none knew that the crown prince of Huang Yao was a man of flesh and blood. Come out, little sister. I'll take you to change. Third brother quickly said. Meanwhile, the entire Xing family had returned to the living room. However, the old man did not let Gu Xiling show herself to maintain a sense of mystery, which was to give Xing Xiao a little mystery and surprise. Eighth brother, I thought you were serious this time. I didn't expect that it's still your trick to torture me. I thought that you would learn your lesson from seventh sister, sixth brother. Why is your mouth still so annoying? Xing Xiao retorted. Didn't you dump Mu Chichi even though you care about her so much? Because she's not as important as your position as the crown prince. Why would you pretend to be a good person in front of me? Sixth brother. It was taboo for old Xing to hear Mu Chichi's name now. Eighth brother finally came back. If you piss him off again, you'd better get out of here too. Sixth brother was upset, but turned away and said nothing else. Xing Xiao did not explain either. What's wrong with that? Either way, sixth brother would see how good I am, wouldn't he? Don't say things that hurt family ties now that you're back. Don't mention anything about Mu Chichi in the family, and you haven't met the young lady of the Gu family, have you? You could meet her today. That's the highlight, isn't it? Xing Xiao leaned back on the sofa and did not refuse. Still, he raised a brow when he looked up to find a familiar figure standing upstairs. He did not expect that Cheer looked good in a white coat, and looked quite different in servant clothes. He would let her show him alone in the future. As a matter of fact, Gu Xiling had been upstairs watching Xing Xiao for a long time. This man was really dangerous. He was like a fully armed monster, full of uncertainty. He was indeed as arrogant as the rumors said. Looking at his eyes, he should also be decisive and ruthless enough. Sure enough, a good man placed in a group of men would have his own special points. Gu Xiling curled her lips. She was satisfied with this man. Soon the butler came upstairs and asked Gu Xiling to go downstairs. She was also prepared to meet Xing Xiao, so she naturally dressed up nicely. Mu Qiqi looked at Gu Xiling from different angles, and suddenly found the woman familiar. Soon, Gu Xiling came downstairs and approached everyone, while old Xing promptly smiled at Xing Xiao. This is an important guest of the Sheng family. Come and get acquainted. He looked up at Gu Xiling. She was indeed beautiful, but she was not as seductive as Xiao Qi upstairs. Gu Xiling was arrogant, so she would not take the initiative to show goodwill. Grandpa Xing glanced at Gu Xiling and said to Xing Xiao, "Why aren't you moving? This is Xiling." In other words, he was reminding Xing Xiao to take the initiative. Sensing the little one's gaze upstairs, Xing Xiao did not do as the old man wished. "Grandfather, do you know how seventh sister offended me in the beginning?" The old man's face darkened. After all, Xing Xiao was hinting that he would do something lowly like seventh sister. The night before Chier and I were about to get engaged, Sister Seven sent her friend to my room. How unfortunate to see such a scene today. Do you really think that I lack women? What nonsense are you talking about? Or is there something good in the family? For example, you're remarrying grandfather? Well, I'll have to congratulate you. Grandpa Xing promptly turned to Gu Xiling, only to find her telling Xing Xiao, "The crown prince must have misunderstood me. Have you forgotten your ex-boyfriend so quickly?" Xing Xiao asked in return, his gaze unusually sharp. Gu Xiling really did not expect that Xing Xiao would be so unscrupulous about such things. Why did he always appear so open and bold? "I'll forget." "You might forget your favorite, but I don't intend to forget my Xiao Qi." Xing Xiao's tone was matter-of-fact, and he added when he saw Gu Xiling's expression turn sour. "You seem nervous, Miss Gu. What, are you afraid of me?" Of course she was afraid of his mouth. "Eighth brother, how could you embarrass Miss Gu in front of so many people?" Grandpa Xing quickly stepped forward to stop them from continuing their conversation. "I've always been like this. Is this the first day you met me?" Xing Xiao appeared dangerous and cynical. "Don't you know? I'm going to announce tomorrow." "Announce what?" The old man paused halfway through his sentence. He had wanted to say that he would announce Xing Xiao and Gu Xiling's engagement tomorrow, but given Xing Xiao's temper, he would definitely be reluctant if he knew about it in advance. With that being the case, it was better to leave the main event for tomorrow. "Since you're back, we'll talk about it later. There's always a chance." "Eighth brother, since you're back, I'll take it that you've chosen Huang Yao and the Sheng family. Don't mention Mu Qiqi again since your identities are different." "Do you mean, there's no difference between Miss Gu and me?" "Miss Gu is a guest. You have to take good care of her. Don't target others like this. Miss Gu is so cold. She shouldn't be afraid of me targeting her." Xing Xiao smiled playfully. "Things seem to be fun. I'm suddenly looking forward to tomorrow. Go back to your room and rest. Come back to work in Huang Yao from the day after tomorrow. And second brother, go to eighth brother's room for the handover." "No need," Xing Xiao quickly said. "We'll talk about it the day after tomorrow." Since Xing Xiao was back, Grandpa Xing did not think that Xing Xiao would leave, which was why he was not in a hurry. And looking at Xing Xiao's plain attire, he knew that he must have been looked down upon by the Shen family. Be a good crown prince of Huang Yao. There are some things you can't force, and those ill-fated relationships should be severed. Celebrate Grandpa's birthday tomorrow. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.